Hello and welcome to Porky Quay for this afternoon's Bon Secours Cork Premier Senior Football Championship Group C tie of Nemo Rangers and Douglas. Champions Nemo look odds-on favourites for a place in the last eight. Only a series of events can prevent them passage to the knockout phases, while Douglas, with only one win in the bank, are fighting for their championship lives. But our focus today won't solely be on the action here at Cork GA headquarters, as we will be keeping you updated on the happenings around the venues on a make-or-break afternoon for so many sides in the top tier of Cork football. I'm delighted to welcome Conor Coonan, Derek Kavanagh and Tony Lean to our commentary team, and we look forward to hearing from them over the course of the next 2 hours. But time now to check in with today's managers. A little earlier this week I spoke to the Nemo Rangers chief Paul O'Donovan, but first let's check in with the Douglas boss, Ray Keating.
No, Ray, thanks so much for taking the time to join us as always. Tell me what the mood was like at the full-time whistle against Valley Rovers.
I mean, I'm disappointed, obviously. I thought we did very well to give ourselves a chance to come back into the game. We obviously, damage was probably done in the first half. We didn't perform as well as we would, but one thing I've noticed about this group is they're incredibly determined, and is shortly after that final whistle, they're just determined to do everything they can to put it right and get us through to the next stage.
Okay, well, not helped by injuries in the opening half there. What's the update on the two lads?
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Lost them both at the same time. Both fully fit though, trained all week, so no issues for the weekend.
Okay, so what has the last 2 weeks been like for you in terms of preparing for what is now a make or break game?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been relatively easy with the group. As I say, they're a pretty focused group. So we've just been working on a few things that we felt that we didn't do particularly well against Valleys, that maybe we had done quite well against Bishopstown. So just getting back to that, just making sure we're playing to our strengths as a team. Working on those bits, making sure that everybody's nice and fresh, everybody's ready to go. Looking after the few knocks that we've had, and thankfully they've all kind of cleared up. So we've had a good run of it.
Okay. Now, there's permutations and calculations at play here. As a manager, Ray, how do you work to that? How do you get that message across to players? Because obviously a win is first and foremost the objective, but again, numbers and points and everything come into play. How do you carry that conversation?
Yeah, it was one that we addressed kind of just at the start. Look, we don't have any control of what's going to happen in the Valleys Bishopstown game. It's that strange situation. You could win a game and you mightn't qualify. You could lose the game and you could technically qualify. So it's a strange one that we don't have a huge amount of control over. All we can control is basically how we go out and we play at the weekend. So we plan on going there, doing our very best to win, and doing our very best to win by as much as we can, and we'll see where we fall at the end of that. But really, it's not one that you can be overly worried about what's happening in this game, what's happening, points wise, all that kind of stuff. We'll have some bit of an eye on it, and if it's a situation where towards the end of the game we know we might need 2 points, might see us through, we'll obviously be aware of that, and that's a message that we'll convey. But for the most part, we've just got to go out there and we've got to try win the game, and then we'll see where we land at the final whistle.
Okay. The fact then that it's Nemo Rangers, county champions, one of your great rivals, the team that gave you a bit of a hawking last year in the championship, all of that adds into the mix as well.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't really affect our preparation. So we prepared for all 3 games the exact same way. I'm huge confidence in this group, so it doesn't really bother me who we're playing. Nemo are a good side. We know that. We know we're going to have to be at our best to play them. We weren't at our best last year, but we were confident going into that game. It was just one of those ones where it didn't go our way. So I'm confident if we go out and we do what we want to do and play as well as we can, then we'll get a result.
Okay, final thing I want to bring up, which isn't related to football. Right? A little birdie told me, I noticed in one of the match reports, did you make an appearance for the club's intermediate hurlers since we spoke last?
Yeah, I did. I think that story might be exaggerated a little bit. So, I was playing up to last year. I'm still only 34, so it wasn't quite as similar as the story of the 72-year-old coming out of retirement to play up the country. So yeah, I paid a playing membership at the start of the year. I did intend on playing at some level. I figured it was more likely maybe going to be junior, but just the way it's gone with injuries and stuff with the hurlers, they were down a few bodies. So I was happy to help out there, and cornerback most of there's a lot of young fellas there, so they were able to do any of the running that I needed to do. So yeah, not quite as dramatic as maybe it seemed. I'm not that old yet, but and I'm not that long gone from playing, but it was just enjoyable to go out and play a bit of hurling anyway, at least.
Now, I'm delighted to welcome Paul O'Donovan to our pre-match build-up. Paul, of course, Nemo Rangers manager. Thanks so much for joining us. A strange year, Paul. I'm sure you must be the first Nemo manager to have seen county players for an extended period of time as you have over the last couple of months.
Yeah, that's the case, and we're delighted with it. Actually, I hope it stays to be the case going forward, because we've got exceptional guys there who bring great leadership, whether it's in training, whether it's in meetings, or whether it's in game situations. They raise the bar every time they come out, and we're just delighted that they're with us for, as you said, the extended period of time.
And I think, Paul, that's a point that's often overlooked. It isn't just having your players on the pitch as players, but it's having them at training, showing some of the younger lads the ropes, leadership, motivation, etc. in the dressing room.
Yeah, I know guys are very vocal in fairness, particularly in Mihal, Blue, they're very vocal and lead from the front, whether it's in meetings or whether it's in game situations. As I said, they always show great leadership.
Okay. Are you a fan of this group system?
Oh yeah, definitely. I hope it continues on. I think you only have to look at the quality of the teams now that look like they're heading to the quarter and semi-finals. I think it's all such. So I think all the top teams now to be in the hat for next week.
And is a direct path to the semi-final the be-all and end-all for you?
No, Sunday now it's about getting the result on Sunday. I can't influence what's going to happen in the Bears game or the Castlehaven game. So I just focused on ourselves, getting the performance of ourselves. We can get the calculators out after the street and see where we are. But Sunday is just about getting the win under our belts, win the 3 games. We top our group, then we're guaranteed to top the group if we can win on Sunday. If we lose, in a shake-up with the points difference. So it's all focused on just winning again.
No, Ray, thanks.
And our thanks to Ray and Paul for their time in the course of the week. Welcome back here to Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It's a bit cold, a bit blustery up here in the gantry. The masking tape is out by Conor Coonahan and Derek Kavanagh alongside me here with their notes. Let's bring up the Douglas team onto screen there for you, and 2 changes to tell you about. Daniel wearing wearing number 17 is in at wing back for Brendan Powter, and Joseph Hart wearing 18 is in at full forward for Owen O'Sullivan. Connor alongside me here. 2 late changes, but it's one name at centre forward is grabbing your attention already.
Yeah, obviously Sean Powter, serious player at any level as such, and so for Douglas to have him on board is majorly important. Brian Boyle is in goals. He seems to be around as long as myself at this stage, so he does. But look, they have a good bit of experience there on the back line. People like Nathan Welch, Sean Wilson, Kevin around the middle of the field. 2 Harton brothers who are 2 very promising players. Up front, Conor Russell was a part of the under-21 squad last year. But look, I suppose, as you said at the outset there, look, Nemo, the banker here as such, forward power is going to be an issue for Douglas, but look, you never know. I mean, if Nemo win today, they're obviously into a semi-final. How important that is to them, I don't know, but Douglas, it's do or die. They really have to do it.
Okay, we'll bring up the Nemo team on screen there now. No changes from the team that you see up on screen we're just getting word from down pitch side. No changes. Derek, I'm going to have to bring you in here. Make or break day for Douglas, but there is that card of a direct route to the semi-final still floating there for Nemo.
Yeah, I think the beauty of the championship now is Nemo really, can't afford to take the foot off. All they want is that semi-final spot. They want to rack up a big score if they can. That's going to be their target. That's not taking Douglas for granted, obviously, but that's Nemo's goal now today, is to get out and get the big score to confirm that semi-final slot. Looking at the team, It's taking notes there during the week about what to expect the team. It's exactly as I had noted in terms of what I'm looking at today's confirmed sheet. Forward power, I think, is going to be Nemo's strength. No real surprises up there. I am looking forward to seeing Rowan centre forward. He's the kind of, that's the slight jig to this team, I suppose, in the last couple of games. He has been going well in training, going well in a couple of challenge games. So I think that's one kind of new dimension to the Nemo forward lineup. I don't think we need any introduction to the likes of Barry O'Driscoll, Mark Cronin, Paul Kerrigan and Luke and Tucker there. So it's a strong forward line. That's where Nemo should do the damage. The back line as well, the relatively new back line in terms of, I know Alan Cronin is probably the elder statesman there, but we've got Brian Murphy and Barry Cripps there, almost their first full year in terms of regular starters now. So if anywhere that Douglas were looking to expose the Nemo team, it's a young full back, it's a young cornerback. To me, Brian Murphy is the real deal in terms of a full back. I'd be thinking he'll be a Cork senior in the next short few years. But in saying that, he's young. He spent a lot of time out injured this year, so if there is any gap that Douglas should be exposing, I think it's a young enough full back line. So that's my read on the Nemo team.
We'll bring the group tables up there. Of course, this is the Group C clash this afternoon. Conor, would you have said that was going to be the layout of the table coming into the final day?
I suppose I would probably have expected Douglas to be in a stronger position. I would have anticipated they would have beaten Valley Rovers, but obviously they're missing a number of key players, hurlers in the likes of the Cadigan brothers and young Kingston and that. So like at the outset of the season, I would have expected them to be on board, but with them withdrawing, Valleys have put through a few good results in recent times. So. And Valleys look the favourites now to take that second spot today on the basis that they're playing Bishopstown. So, it's as I said, if Douglas had the three hurlers, I'd have been expecting them to take the second spot, but now it doesn't look in their favour.
Okay, the fact, Derek, Bishopstown, 2 games played, nothing in the bank.
Yeah, on paper, yeah, it's looking like Valleys are going to take that game. But again, you never know. But I think that probably makes things harder mentally for Douglas going into today's game. If it was, if they were, they'd probably expect Valleys to win and seal Douglas's fate, and that's a shame because it would kind of bring that championship dimension, kind of knockout to this game. But in saying that, they've nothing to lose, and I suppose the one exciting thing potentially about today is that they probably have to rack up a big score. So they're probably going to have to go at Nemo hard, and I think certainly for the first 5 or 10 minutes of this game, I think you're going to get the vibe of an absolute knockout championship game because they have to throw everything at Nemo inside the first 10 minutes and rattle Nemo's cage. And if they don't do that, really, they're not at much because they have to be targeting a big win today.
Yeah, but we saw last year in Páirc Uí Rinn in the championship, there was the same kind of expectation around Douglas. I think the final score that day 3-12 to 7 points, and it was 3-12 to Nemo.
Yeah, I know. I was there that day, and again the expectation, like coming down to it, there was a kind of an air of we're going to get a good kind of local derby here. And after 10 minutes, it was like bursting a balloon. And even for the first 5 or 10 minutes, there was cut and trust, but it just seemed that Douglas didn't really have a plan that day. Their kickouts went against them. There was a couple of kind of horror kickouts in the first couple of minutes, and Nemo punished them, and it was game over within 20 minutes that day. Okay,
let's take a look at the Group B table there, Conor. Castlehaven, as expected, really, and you'd expect them to finish out with a perfect record, would you?
You would, and I suppose you'd equally. I think Cabri Rangers will just about beat Newcestown to that second spot. I think they're pitted against one another today, if I'm correct.
And that'll be a spicy game.
Oh, it will, because Newcestown just don't give anyone anything easy. So, but I just think Cabri will have that little bit of experience. But I wouldn't be surprised now if Newcestown did win. But certainly it would be one of the games of the day.
Yeah, and of course they played in the championship a couple of years ago in Clonakilty, I think, and it was a fairly hot and feisty afternoon as well. We'll move on there to Group A, just as the PA kicks in here. The Bars up on top there. Ballincollig, I suppose you'd be fancying for the second slot?
You probably would. I suppose Clonakilty were very, very disappointing in the last day out. Like, they were beaten comprehensively, and when you look at the number of inter-county players that they have, and you look at they've got in 1 or 2 players from Kerry this year. Everybody was expecting something big from them, but obviously very disappointing the last day, and difficult to pick it up after that.
Okay, no, I just want to bring you back in there, Derek. It's difficult there with the noise there in the background. of course, we still have Duhallow to factor into all of this equation as well too, and with the seeding system, I don't think anyone would really fancy facing into Duhallow into a quarter-final.
No, I know from my own time, like you always, if you are drawing Duhallow, you wanted them earlier on in the season, because traditionally they are that division. Once they get going, they have a strong tradition in the county championship, and quarter-final they're as strong, if not stronger, than any club. Definitely D team to be avoided, I would think.
Do you think though, and I'll throw this out to the two of you, the new format of the championship, which everyone is enjoying, but the condensed nature, it's difficult now for divisional sides, given that their pool of players are out week in, week out, the stretch of injuries, dual clubs, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the Kenturk contingent now, Knocknagree, they'll probably have 2/3 of that team are close on it. They're not going to be involved with Duhallow in any way, sense of preparation and that sort of thing. So, no, that has changed the dynamic big time.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that kind of the structure of the championship does go against them, because I think the divisions bring an awful lot. You've 8 divisions of Cork, and I think you could have an extremely strong senior championship if the divisions were given that bit more space. But it's an impossible solution. I think this year's championship has been revolutionary, and we are all to applaud it. The players are delighted with it. There's a great structure. Hopefully in time we can figure out a way maybe to bring more divisions and give them a better crack at coming into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, how would you tweak it, Derek, to
at
allow
the moment,
that?
I wouldn't look. I wouldn't even get into that, considering there's been we've started with a blank slate this year, and we just
and huge credit to Kevin O'Donovan,
Absolutely.
Tracy, and everything
Absolutely.
like that. I suppose the question I'll ask you, Conor, is, are you surprised it's taken as long as it has to get where we are?
Yeah, look, I think everyone knew that the old system was dying on its feet, and something needed to happen. No, I suppose the reality is the amount of change that we've had this year, some of it we can't take all the credit for, in the sense that COVID forced it on us, but like, it has shown us to kind of get away from the idea of saying you can't do this, you can't do that. COVID has been very good, and as you said, the decisions by the board to change the structure was very good. So it really keeps us all on an open mind in terms of what can be done. But like, as we stand today, like the championship, as Derek said, there has been just a phenomenal success. We're here on the last day, it's a bit like a Super Sunday. People could be relegated, they could be promoted today. It's the ideal scenario you want, like, so be thankful for what we have at the minute.
Absolutely, it's fair. Everyone's entitled to a bad day, and before, if you got the bad day at the wrong time, that's it. Like, but you get the opportunity for a bad day, you get the opportunity to come good again. So it's absolutely fair for all, and no matter what happens, there's more games, and that's the beauty of it. I think top 2 go into your knockout of your competition, and the bottom 2 are obviously, they've got more games as well through the relegation battle, and that's what players want.
And the other thing, from talking to the likes of Paul O'Donovan, the fact that you have your county players at training, as he pointed out, that in turn is bringing up the standard, bringing up the level in training. Just that bit of advice, that little bit of input from a guy that might have played in a Munster final or an All-Ireland final. Surely every team will benefit from having not just your county player available on the day of a match, but it could be down on training on a Tuesday night.
That's a great point, Colin, because playing a game is grand. It's 60 minutes. I'm not sure the stats on it, but what's the average type of ball time a player gets? And your point is that when the inter-county players are back training, you're racking up dozens and dozens of hours, and that's just bringing up the standard, and it's, as you say, it's about giving advice to younger players, but it's also shoulder to shoulder with these guys who are at top standard, and being exposed to that hour after hour in training just brings the standard completely up, and then you just bring up the standard of the championship as well.
From an old manager's perspective, Conor.
Yeah.
Well, if you were still the banished door, what way do you look on this championship?
I suppose when you're in that hot seat, like you're under a certain amount of pressure, and you want your players as much as you possibly can. And look, I think we were gone too far, but I do think at the same time, we need to ensure that if we have rules that they're worked across the board in the 32 counties, you don't want to be going in, with 4 weeks preparation, and you have some other manager the benefit of 8 weeks preparation. And there's a whole lot that Croke Park need to do in relation to this, in terms of whether it's the amount of time and clubs get versus the county. That needs to be streamlined across the country.
This talk as well too of the split season, Thoughts on that? Even the consideration, would you flip it and play your club start of the year county?
I think it's only a matter of time. We're at breaking point now. We're just absolutely, it's bursting. It's waiting to fall over. The split season has to come in. Whether it comes in next year or a couple of years, it absolutely has to come in. Like as Conor said, the inter-county manager under huge stress. You probably get 2 seasons there, and if you don't perform, you're out. So of course you're going to be biased. Of course you're going to want to take all the players. Like I would, and you'd try every trick in the book to get the players, and you're just making it hard for everyone by not just splitting the season.
Okay, perfectly timed there for Derek as we take a break for the national anthem. Alan O'Connor's our match referee this afternoon, and again just to remind you, we'll be keeping you updated on the action across the afternoon in Group A. The Bars playing Clonakilty, that's in Coachford. Ballincollig, Carrigaline is down in Páirc Uí Rinn. Carbery Rangers Newcestown is in Ballinascarty. Castlehaven Island Rovers in Ballydehob, and we'll have Valley Rovers v Bishopstown, that's in Ballinora. And of course all the action is here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, part of the Irish Examiner live stream service. Not just one game this afternoon, 2 games, because we'll have Bonsecourt Cork Senior A Football Championship action coming a little later this afternoon. O'Donovan Rossa v St Michael's, that's down in Enniskeane. Larry Tompkins and Oisin Langan, our commentary team down there. Teams falling into formation. Challenging afternoon from a commentary perspective given the colour schemes of the teams, but that's Douglas on your right and Nemo Rangers on your left. The 2 big Hartnets at midfield, as you'd expect there for Douglas. Going to get back to Luke McGrath and going through the hands there, and it's Brian Collins. And no need to remind you of the last time that these two met in Championship 3-12 to 7 points was the final score. Brian Collins there back on the ball, showing well in the opening few minutes. Pass going astray there, and Kevin O'Donovan, despite 2 players holding him up, and the first free of the afternoon awarded to the Nemo wing back. Going back to Alan Cronin, the ever experienced, play with Brian Murphy, and right across the field there to Barry O'Driscoll. So just to be keeping you updated throughout the afternoon on the permutations, the calculations, the sagas, the drama of an exciting afternoon of Championship football, and our thanks to the Cork County Board for assisting us in this broadcast this afternoon from Páirc Uí Chaoimh, an eerie Páirc Uí Chaoimh, with the attendance being limited just the players and the media. Man on the ball there is James McDermott from Roscommon, originally a doctor here in Cork. Paul Kerrigan on it there, 45 yards out, forced to go back to his midfielder James McDermott. Real kind of feeling you out moment at the moment. Ronan Dalton, Derek was speaking highly of him, taking the return on the edge of the exclusion zone. Got a man inside him, that's Kevin O'Donovan. O'Donovan opting to fist it over, and that's a well worked score. And that young Dalton already impressing there in a few moments.
Yeah, looking sharp. Certainly Douglas are putting numbers behind the ball, but again, like a lot of teams, you put numbers behind the ball and it takes away the accountability maybe from individual defenders. But look, that was a good start for Nemo. Nice to see Powder get on the ball here now. Interesting to see how he'll take on his man.
And what a bit of pace that this man has. Shawnee Powder has been struggling with injuries in the early part of this championship campaign. but as the lads have said, will be absolutely pivotal. We'll try and get it at the third or fourth time of asking to the Douglas cause here this afternoon. That's Powder yet again on the ball, the distinctive orange boots. He's some speedster, isn't he? And a nice option, nice ball in, and the mark being called there, and that was Powder who found Liam Deneen with a nice 40-yard pass right on the 21-yard line.
Yeah, it's just important now for Douglas to put this score on the board and get a bit of confidence, because I think, as Derek, unfortunately that's gone wide now, but as Derek pointed out last year, had a very poor start, and that sucked the confidence out of him. So look, that's not a great help to him there now, but look, let's wait and see.
Yeah, I'm happy there to see Powder, he's actually playing quite well, getting a lot of ball. It's just that you can just see, as Conor alluded there, Douglas getting players back. They just don't have that much target to hit, to direct the ball towards, you know.
Yeah, that was a poor miss by Liam Deneen. Psychological blow early on, especially when you're facing a team like Nemo, who have such a potent inside forward line. One of those was Conley, but he's after offloading at a shot coming right across the face from Barry O'Driscoll. It was Mark Cronin who got the initial ball, but O'Driscoll, I think, was trying to curl it in to the far post beyond Brian Boyle.
Yeah, you'd be disappointed. He'll be disappointed with that. Like, you know, it was a fairly open chance, and you know, gives Douglas another chance. And Douglas are on the break now, Niall Hartnett, and this guy can move.
This guy can move indeed. He's swallowing up the ground there. Opts to go back to his corner forward to Conor Russell, and Conor Russell has gotten him off the mark. But as you pointed out there, Conor, that was Niall Hartnett made with that score.
Really, guy with serious potential, serious pace, very young lad, 19 years of age. Set that up for Conor Russell there, and that gets Douglas off the mark.
Yeah, it looks like Douglas kickouts too. They're not afraid to go long. I thought they might be trying to stretch and run a kind of a slightly aging Nemo midfield, but they seem to have confidence in their own midfield. It certainly worked out for them there.
Great confidence on the ball there between the two cornerbacks, Barry Cripps and Alan Cronin, finding James McDermott, who's gotten on the ball quite a lot in the opening exchanges. Ronan Dalton, the youthful centre forward, opts to go back to a runner from defence, and that first time ball going directly in as far as Luke Conley. Conley opts to go back, and it's noticeable how Nemo very patient. Paul Kerrigan back again to James McDermott, who's gotten his hands on quite a lot of ball in the opening exchanges. It's Barry O'Driscoll again, finding his wing back on this occasion. That's Kevin O'Donovan. The shot from O'Donovan though going wide.
Yeah, a bit rash from Kevin O'Donovan there now, because I think he had a man inside. The right cornerback Barry Cripps was gone inside if he carried the ball forward. So Nemo would be a bit disappointed with that. There is a win factor here favouring what looks to be Nemo in the first half. Might be major, but it's still there.
I think one of the things successful so far for Douglas is that Sean Wilson seems to have gone back and picked up Mark Cronin. I think so far he's doing really good. Looking at him, he seems to be all over him like a rash, really, and I think it's working out because Nemo are looking up to hit Mark early, but in fairness to Sean Wilson, he's all over him.
Foul there on Kevin O'Donovan, I think it was, arm around the neck, and free being taken by Barry O'Driscoll, but straight into Niall Hartnett, who'll gladly take Brian Hartnett on that occasion, gladly take the possession. It's up with Luke McGrath. Great first time ball by McGrath right into the corner forward towards Sam Collins, hoping to try and weave an angle for himself. Still Sam Collins running into three players, and forced all the way back out as far as Brian Hartnett. There's a runner inside him, that's Daniel Hart. In the end though, the shot coming off, and the shot well worked right from the edge of the exclusion zone, and Douglas will be grateful. Was it the cornerback in the end, Dylan Ward, that got that one? Yeah,
good score from Dylan Ward there. Yeah, good build up from Douglas again, patient, and that's the one thing they have got to do, is be patient on the build up, not give away a soft ball. Nemo will be a bit disappointed that body's back there, but they didn't make physical contact on the guy with the ball. But look, good score for Douglas.
Coming on the far side there is Alan Cronin. Of course, Mark in the corner forward this afternoon. Dalton forced to go wide. Surely a free there for a pull down by the Douglas wing forward Liam Deneen.
I think the Douglas fullbacks seem to be quite comfortable so far. Luke and Mark especially are constantly trying to peel away, make that space for themselves. But in fairness to the Douglas fullbacks, they look well on top. So I think Nemo's best route at the moment is going to be just to carry the ball through the gain lines and look for getting scores that way.
Here comes the free, and it's Luke Conley who's standing over it. Gained an extra yard there on himself, and as you'd expect, Luke Conley to do the needful.
It's just so important now for Douglas to keep getting these kick-outs away. Positions, so important.
Brian Boyle, the veteran goalkeeper for Douglas. Now, back with Ronan Dalton. This time and a high effort in by him as far as Mark Cronin. Well marshalled though by the defenders, and good coverage there. Dylan Ward helping out. Joseph Hart. It's still Hart. Opting to go short there to his cornerback, to Dylan Ward. Runner at pace, takes a heavy shoulder. That's the other Hart, Daniel. Poor ball by him though. It's taken up by Kevin O'Donovan.
Yeah, that's exactly what you don't want Douglas to do. There was a simple ball on there, and we went for the longer option, but turned over the ball, and now we've Nemo on the counter attack with Luke Conley.
Luke Conley's 21 yards out. Nice turn by Conley onto the right boot, and that is a fine score from Luke Conley. And as Conor pointed out, that came from a turnover, quick delivery. Conley won the foot race, and Conley knew exactly where the posts were.
Just seems to be a lot more economical there, I think, from Nemo, Cullum, and just that, Douglas seemed to be working the ball up and trying to get that perfect pass. I suppose if you could count 10 or 20 seconds with their last ball that they got up and eventually lost, 2 shots down the line, and Luke Conley's putting it over the bar, so very economical from Nemo.
Boyle back on the ball again. And Douglas coming out here in front of us with their wing back Sean Wilson, opting to go across to Dylan Ward. All the way across there, looks to be Liam Deneen. First time ball into Powter. This guy just needs a bit of space to open up in front of him and turn on the afterburners. That's exactly what he's going to do. Goes short to Conor Russell, and Russell from distance, and Russell with the point. But I was back to what you were saying, Conor. There's a simple way of doing these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And key for Douglas is to get Powter on that ball. He's got pace. He can open it up. And to be fair to Conor Russell, he finished it off well.
Goalkeeper Micheál Martin going short to Stephen Cronin. Finds himself under pressure with big Niall Hartnett behind him, but manages to work his way out of trouble. Another Hartnett in front of him, so he offloads there to Kevin O'Donovan. O'Donovan punching it ahead, a bit of a foot race going out there, but a foul on the corner forward, Mark Cronin. Looked to be Shawnee Wilson that was the offender on that occasion. That's going to be a free in there now for Nemo. Very quickly taken in as far as Barry O'Driscoll, but the referee wasn't happy with that and calling play back. And looks to be Luke Conley there on the 45-yard line. Again, just that we will be updating you on the scores over the next 15-20 minutes as they're coming into us from across the ground. As Conor pointed out, it isn't just the ambition and objective of the quarterfinals that's here. Of course, a lot of teams as well trying to avoid the dreaded drop as well. So plenty to play for right across the tiers this afternoon. Conley pointing that one, and that's pushing it out to 4 points to 3 here with just coming up on 12 minutes almost elapsed at Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Yeah, kick out gone again. No, Douglas have the kick out now again, and possible break on again here.
It's Brian Collins offloaded it there.
Slow down a bit now.
As a play across to Joseph Hart. It's Hartnett to Shawnee Powter. Still Powter. Very little angle available for him, so he's been forced to work it all the way back. Went right over the head of Nathan Walsh, the fullback, and all of that undone as the Nemo man winning the ball there was Barry O'Driscoll, but was knocked out and out for a sideline. he opts to go all the way back as far as Kevin O'Donovan, and they're going right across the field there yet again with the man on the ball there is Alan Cronin. Going through the hands there. Well taken, great mark there by Connolly. Paul Kerrigan, the man who's gone from his corner forward posting, helping back, and he was the man that delivered the kick into Connolly, and Connolly
another super point there from Luke. You can just see that natural kicker on a big pitch like today, it's worth its weight in gold really, and he just looks very comfortable down there.
But that all came from Shawnee Powter's overhead kick, or overhit kick.
Bit of a mad kick, but in fairness to him, I think he's just bringing a whole different dimension to Douglas. A lot of them I think are trying to tread the ball through, but when he puts the head down and runs, he is causing trouble.
Another man that's causing trouble here in front of us is Barry O'Driscoll, getting on quite a lot of ball. That's still O'Driscoll holding off Hart in the tackle, getting a shot across, but just didn't have the pace in it, and the goalkeeper taking it down and giving it out as far as Liam Deneen.
Kevin Flav now trying to burst out of defence.
The referee deems that he's being fouled by Mark Cronin. And it's Histon taking the kick and dropping it here in front of us. He's full back to Nathan Walsh. Flahav, of course, instead of Histon, Kevin Flahav. Right there with Luke McGrath.
Just looking at the Nemo full back line, they just look so comfortable. The two guys in full forward are just not making them sweat enough really. The guys outside just don't really have an option to get the ball in, and this is now ensuing the lateral passing. It's nearly always taking the likes of Powter to get on it and cut through that congestion.
Yeah, indeed. Great play yet again there by the full-back Brian Murphy. Brings in Peter Morgan into play as well, and they've gone across the field there towards Barry Cripps. And so comfortable with Kieran Histon. And they just look so polished, so well oiled. Nemo as they come yet again with Colin O'Brien on the far side, quickly taken by Barry O'Driscoll, finding Mark Cronin. Nice turn by him. It's 14 yards out, has a runner inside him. That's Ronan Dalton, the centre forward. Stumbles a bit, regains his footing, going back to Mark Cronin. He's going to work it all the way back out. Looks to be Barry O'Driscoll is going to collect that one. He's got options inside him. One of those is Paul Kerrigan, who's sitting much deeper, and Kerrigan off the left hand side, and that's a trademark effort from Kerrigan, but unfortunately it's gone wide. Looked to be good from our vantage point, but the umpire directly under it and waving it wide.
Yeah, both teams operating kind of a very slow build up and trying to get bodies behind to defend. Nemo doing it that bit more effectively. They seem to have more options off the shoulder. Douglas not as cohesive, but Douglas doing well in the middle of the field, where the two Hartnetts are doing very well. And now we're looking at Niall Hartnett on the ball there on the break again, and good interplay there, and it's another Hartnett. It's Brian Hartnett that's running forward out as far as Sam Collins. He's going to have to turn on the pace to try and keep that one in play. Slides in soccer style, but well marshalled there by Alan Cronin, the experienced Cronin. But Collins somehow manages to get that and win the free, and himself and Cronin are getting involved in a bit of a tangle down there. But after all of that, now the free has been disregarded, and the ball is going to be thrown in. So Sam Collins had won the free, but got involved in a bit of a tussle, and now it's going to be a throw ball.
And really no need for them to be in this situation. They looked in control, ball coming up, just a very poor delivery in, and put Sam Collins in all sorts of trouble.
First time being pulled out of it there, and the race is on to try and get it, and it's going to be Brian Hartnett that is, that's going to claim it, and he's going to win the free as well too, following a little clash there with Peter Morgan. All a bit ugly there for a few minutes time, but the end result is coming maybe about 60 seconds later for Douglas, in that they have a free, and this time it's Conor Russell that's standing over it.
Yeah, it's probably not it's a difficult enough opportunity. It's hard to gauge from here as to what impact the breeze is having down there. We'll have an idea now after this free as to what way it's going.
Conor Russell driving that about 4 or 5 yards wide. Opportunity lost, and it leaves it at 5 points to Nemo, 3 points to Douglas, as the first water break of the afternoon is called.
Yeah, Colm, just having a look at the general setup of both teams. Douglas obviously have the defenders, which a lot of sides probably don't have in terms of matching up with Nemo's forwards. So Nathan Walsh has taken Paul Kerrigan, as Derek mentioned. Sean Wilson has taken Mark Cronin. Kevin Flahav is taken Luke Connolly. The team selection that Douglas have picked, they've gone for size. They brought in the two Hearts. The ploy is pretty obvious. They need to keep this tight. We were at a game yesterday, as you know, in Mourneabbey and Nottingree. We're 3 or 4 goals down after 10 or 15 minutes. So I would imagine Douglas are saying this, let's play this in 4 quarters. They're 5-3 down. They're doing okay. I suppose Nemo, I would say at this stage, probably certainly looked the more inventive. I just think at the moment Douglas are a little bit predictable going forward. Obviously they don't have the dazzling attacking talent that Nemo have, but you'd like to see maybe a little bit more running off the shoulders and a little bit movement inside. Just basically ask the Nemo defenders some questions. I mean, Derek, you make the point there that Nemo look comfortable. They did look comfortable because there's no movement in the Douglas forward line.
And maybe one option would be the two Hartnett's midfield. You know, they just look like the thoroughbred athletes. You know, when Powter runs at them, it begins to open Nemo up. But as I say, the two lads are too good. Barry Cripps and Brian Morgan are too good man markers. Like so.
But it is, you mentioned midfield there, and you also said it earlier, it probably is the one area on the pitch that Douglas have an advantage.
They have the legs, definitely, and they are two proper ball players. Like so, I definitely would like to see them get a bit more of a gallop.
I think Cullum, they could gamble a little more. Maybe one of them, occasionally, one of the Hartnetts gamble a little more and make the break from midfield.
Okay, just bringing you up to date on some scores that we're getting in from across the grounds. Valley Rovers are 3 points, Bishopstown 2 points, and we have it as Island Rovers no score, Castlehaven 1 goal and 6 points. That's about 2 minutes ago. And Newcestown and Carbery Rangers, well, Connor was talking about Newcestown earlier. It's Newcestown 1 goal and 2 points, Carbery Rangers 2 points, and we'll keep you updated on those scores as they're coming into us across the afternoon. That was Barry O'Driscoll, second time of asking, but eventually dispossession. It's Daniel Hartnett that's coming out there, Brian Hartnett coming out as well, and racing after it is big Niall Hartnett, and Hartnett trying to shake off the shackles and getting it to Powter. He just needs space to open up for him. Coming in is the cornerback Luke McGrath gets the shot, but a great save by the goalkeeper out there. But for a second, the ball played in by Powter. Luke McGrath had found himself in splendid isolation, but the keeper, to his credit, was quickly off his line.
I think they should have been taking that goal. Obviously he tried his best, like, but had that been potentially a corner forward, maybe they would have stuck it. But big chance for Douglas, and they'd want to be taking those goal chances.
Niall Hartnett, like, again, very influential around the middle of the field, pace there, making the initial break. I suppose from a Douglas point of view, I'm looking at Powter at centre forward there, and Nemo double teaming him, and the centre is the area Nemo blocking up the most, and I'd be inclined to give Powter more of a free role to go right and left, open up that middle, maybe even open it up for others, and certainly he can make headway down the wing when he gets the ball.
Especially, as you pointed out, Connor, when either of the Hartnetts are good men as well to build up a head of steam, and imagine if that channel was opened up for them as we miss Conor Russell.
That's they're either side of the water right now, Cullum. That's 1-2 now that Douglas are after leaving after them. 2 misses there from Conor Russell and Luke McGrath's goal chance, and they're the kind of things that you're going to be looking back on afterwards and saying if only.
Barry Cripps and Kevin O'Donovan working so well together down the wing together. Cripps is opting to go in with the fisted pass into his corner forward, and that's Mark Cronin off the left, but that was manufactured by a cornerback and a wing back, and finished by a corner forward.
I feel sorry for Sean Wilson there. Actually, he's doing a great job on Mark Cronin, but literally the ball was walked up the pitch, and just handed onto Mark Cronin's hand, couldn't do no wrong, and there's no full back or cornerback could have defended against that, really.
But it's typical, like, of as we were saying there, like, Douglas have 2 or 3 chances, fail to take him, Nemo pop down, get 1 chance, and it's over the bar.
Sam Collins was just down on the ground there, receiving attention, but he's back up on his feet, all fine there. Brian Boyle, the goalkeeper, facing into this kick out. Good drive of the ball, it must be said, by the custodian. Obviously aiming towards Hartnett. Breaks there, and it's Joseph Hart that's down on top of it, and Hart claiming it. Wouldn't be out of the way in the Aviva Stadium the way he dived down on that one. And free being awarded to Douglas, going all the way back, and it's going to be Brian Hartnett that's going to take it. That's right bang on the halfway line. Going back to Dylan Ward. Pacey operator Ward sucking in players. It's Powder there at the top of your screen, but it's Joseph Hart in possession. In now with Powter. Still Powter trying to square away space. Has a runner though outside him. That's Liam Deneen. And Deneen opting to fist it over the bar, but Powter looked for the option. There was nothing opening up for him, so saw the overlap by the wing forward. And
Powter again, that running, he is causing trouble. It's the one avenue that Douglas are getting success. I'd even be questioning should Nemo be making a change there, maybe bring the likes of Brian Murphy out on him or something like that, but he is causing a bit of damage for Nemo.
Because Derek, I saw at one stage Alan Cronin was actually picking him up. I thought he was actually man-marking him, but Kieran Histon seems to be picking him up in a pretty conventional, and I think that's a matchup that might actually give Douglas a little bit of an edge if Nemo don't change it.
I would agree with you there, Tony. I do think they shouldn't leave it go much longer, because he is probably the one person from Douglas causing them trouble.
Shot there that's coming off from the corner forward. Waving it wide though, that was Mark Cronin. Paul Kerrigan did well in the build up there. The cheers that you're hearing though are from the Douglas contingent there as the defensive work, forcing Cronin to kick a bit under pressure and drive that one wide, and it's leaving it at 6 points to Nemo, 4 points to Douglas, with 23 and a bit minutes elapsed. Right through the hands there and eventually being picked up by Alan Cronin.
Surprised Douglas are persistent with the long kick out. I think they've lost the last couple of breaks. I know they've got two big men in the middle and they're probably backing him with the high kick outs, but I think they should be trying to stretch Nemo, try a little bit of a shorter kick out, or at very least one of the Hartnett's peeling out to the wing.
Colin Tucker O'Brien is the man over there going all the way back. It's with the centre forward Ronan Dalton. He goes back, and Paul Kerrigan again, and Kerrigan's just going to settle thing and see can he find Luke Connolly. That's a great ball right into Connolly's chest, and being fouled by the defender Nathan Walsh, I think, and it's going to be a free there, but that was a glorious little pass. I'd say any fullback or cornerback would hate to see that kind of a ball being played in.
Yeah, difficult to defend, but again, like the modern game now where we put the sweeper back, like we really need to be effective. Like when we get the ball in 1-on-1, like the idea is the sweeper doubles up. We never get close enough to that, and the sweeper can often be lost in that. Like they're having no effect in the game. Sometimes you look at some sweepers and you feel, gee, if I was out there myself I could nearly be as effective as them.
Yeah, nice point there from Luke, but I would agree with you there, Conor. I think the sweeper, it tends to be a little bit of a false strength in numbers with the guy back, but unless that sweeper's back is actually technically almost marking the guy with you, it's of real little use. In fact, can be a hindrance.
Okay, poor kick out by the goalkeeper, and there's a chipped effort coming across, and I'll tell you, it was a wonderful piece of innovation there by Kerrigan, but it carried over the bar as opposed to under the bar.
It could have been worse there, Colm. We just mentioned it before the match. There was a couple of horror kickouts for Douglas last year down Parky Ring in the championship, and the Nemo punished them, but I think they'll take a point that time.
Yeah, huge relief there for Brian Boyle, the goalkeeper, but Kerrigan, you could just see that touch of class. You could see what he was trying to attempt, but just overcooked it slightly. Brian Collins on the ball there. They're forced to go back again here. It's Joseph Hart, who on the team instead of Owen O'Sullivan. Now Powter again, more in a playmaker capacity as opposed to a speedster at the moment. Sam Collins, he's forced to go all the way back to Dylan Ward. Hartnett shakes off a tackler too, back out as far as Sam Collins, and Sam Collins off the left, but that one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a long day for Douglas if they're going to try get rewards like that. You see they got the ball up quick enough, but then no movement inside. The ball got recycled, Nemo guys get back, and for Douglas to potentially wrap up 15 points or more, you just can't see it happening the way they're playing like that,
Bit of a rarity there. Douglas winning the sideline there after a Nemo defensive error. Latest that we're getting in is Valley Rovers 4 points, Bishopstown 4 points. Of course, Bishopstown have a huge amount to play for as well in an effort to beat the relegation playoff. And of course, Valley's shocked Douglas last week. Back with the action here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and back with the corner forward, and yet again Conor Russell.
Yeah, lapse in concentration there from Brian Murphy, who just left Conor Russell slip away, got a very easy ball and really should have scored it.
The last few minutes have been really bad for Douglas. Great opportunities, and on possession alone they're well on top, but look, it's not there on the scoreboard lead Nemo leading 8 points to 4 now, and in possession. That's not a fair reflection, but look, it's about putting it all over the bar is what it's about.
Exactly, as you said, Conor, for the amount of times that Douglas has found themselves inside the 21-yard line even, and nothing to show for it. That's Dalton on the ball back down on the edge of the exclusion zone, and Dalton doing what?
I think might have been 2 hops there from Tucker coming through, but Nemo seemed to switch their kind of dynamic in that they're bringing Mark Cronin kind of further out. Barry O'Driscoll was left isolated there, so I think Nemo now happy to use the wind, happy to take the ball up, carried up, as opposed to finding the man inside the full forward line, and I think they're playing it very smart at the moment.
That's Kevin Flav, who's down on the ground waiting for attention there, and a little bit of a breather at least for an under pressure Douglas defence.
That's a little bit of a worry now too for Douglas if Kevin Flav were to get injured, and my concern is that he seems to be rolling over on his shoulder, which has been a problem for him in the past, and that'd be certainly disappointing on a whole pile of fronts.
You get the sense too that the first 10 minutes of this game Douglas looked comfortable. They looked it was going to be toe to toe, but just looking back at the scoreline, 9-4 there, pretty much in the blink of an eye, and Nemo look certainly in control here.
It's tight, Cullum, as well. Sorry, Conor. Just around the other grounds. I mean, that scoreline you went with there, Valley Rovers 4, Bishopstown 4. We don't obviously know how much of a win there is, but I mean, Valley Rovers are in the box seat, certainly in terms of qualifying after beating Douglas and Aston out, and I think most people would have actually given that one. Remember the way the permutations in this group work. Douglas have to beat Nemo, and if Valleys beat Bishopstown, then it comes down to scoring difference. They'd all end up on 4 points. So Valley Rovers very much have things in their own hands, as do both these sides here, but obviously Nemo are the ones with a huge advantage in terms of scoring difference, and as Derek says, they're 5 ahead here with a minute to go to half time.
Oh, how Douglas badly need a score, as Tony said, just coming up a minute from half time. As for the psychological side of things, Niall Hartnett, is he going to make something work going back?
Here we see it again, that ball could have been delivered in. I just don't think the Douglas full forward line are able to peel away from the Nemo full backs, and here now the ball has been recycled 5, 6, 7 times when, had they an option to drop it in a couple of seconds ago, Nemo would have been in trouble. Now Nemo are not in trouble.
And for all of that passage of play, I think if anything Douglas have lost ground. Brian Hartnett is on the ball, out to Shawnee Powter. What can this man manufacture? He's just running into a wall yet again, and he is forced to go back. It's eventually finding its way all the way back to Brian Hartnett.
Oh!
And heavy arm right across from James McDermott. I don't think that he was cynical or anything in it. He just caught him, that he was kind of falling backwards, with the man from Roscommon catching Hartnett, and no doubt.
Yeah, dangerous tackle, but I think you're right. It wasn't that cynical. He just caught him awkwardly, I think.
This is a fierce important free for Douglas now, because Conor Russell has missed the last 2, I think, and they've missed a few from play as well. So, this is bread and butter stuff. You need to be taking it.
Yeah, Conor Russell standing over. Tony, who's the second string? Who's the next free taker in line for Douglas?
Well, you're asking me difficult questions because there's not necessarily one there. I mean, Brian Hartnett, Shawnee Powter can kick a score.
3 minutes additional time.
Here comes Russell, and just creeps it over the crossbar for a second there. It looked like Micheál Martin was going to get his hands in it.
I think Conor is correct, Colin, on what he said, because Conor Russell is very much a confidence player. He's either the type of fella who could shoot the lights out, or if things start to go wrong, he panics a small bit and he actually rushes shots. So I mean, for him to clip that one over the bar is not just important for Douglas, I think it's important for Conor Russell.
Yeah, fair play, because he has a couple of bad misses, and that doesn't do well for the confidence. So in fairness to him, he knocked that over. So fair play to him.
Kieran Histon picking out James McDermott here in front of us, and McDermott who gave away that free. Barry O'Driscoll racing out it back to Paul Kerrigan, who's sitting in that floating role, creating role as well too, looking to try and find Luke Conley, but it was well cut out by Dylan Ward there, who has his fullback Nathan Walsh for assistance. Back to Ward, all going through the hands at speed, coming out here with Sean Wilson. Should find its way to Liam Deneen here in front of us. Deneen now is going to go first time in towards the corner, but the cornerback down there, Barry Cripps, aware of the danger, won the race out, picks out Barry O'Driscoll, and that's him trying to avoid the tackle there from Shawnee Powter, holds him off, finds Ronan Dalton, who in turn offloads to Stephen Cronin. Ronan holding it up there, going past the challenge of Liam Dineen as support play from Ronan Dalton. It just always seems to be a player coming in off the shoulder each and every occasion. This time it's Mark Cronin. He could do with a bit of assistance there, and the referee awarding a free in despite the protestations of Sean Wills. Was that a harsh free?
It's touch and go. Look, Mark Cronin has been very strong on the ball. He's the type of guy, he gets it and he goes for the short route. He's not going for a big loop. He's and he's in control of the ball. And once you have your hand in there at all as a back, then you're looking a bit suspect. I suppose I'd be probably a small bit critical of Douglas's defending, in the sense that Nemo are not the biggest team physically, and they're not, all the tackles look a bit clumsy at times. There's no kind of controlled aggression, for the want of a better word.
A challenging kick now for Mark Cronin, who's still a good 35 yards out off his left. Is he judged this one?
Yeah, I think that's the difference there. Luke is knocking him over, Mark is knocking him over from the freeze, and when you have that, you're always in a much better place. Douglas, on the other hand, very much struggling to take the free kicks that they're getting.
That's pushed it out to double scores. Nemo 10 points, Douglas 5 points. A bit of pushing and shoving there at midfield. Latest that we're hearing is the Bars 6 points, Clonakilty 7 points, and how that's going to change things. Of course, the Bars top of the table. Clonakilty were sitting second from bottom of the Group A table, and as we said, there's just so many calculations, so many permutations, so many talking points to go through, and we'll be getting through those in due course here as we've just taken the half-time break. So it's Nemo Rangers 10 points, Douglas 5 points, but if Douglas had a scoring attack, it would be a different story.
Well, unfortunately, Colm, if you were looking at that half from a Douglas point of view, you'd say, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? I think defensively they're doing okay. I think you're probably talking about the best attack in Cork, and I think they're doing okay. If somebody had said to the Douglas management, you will not concede a goal at half-time, given their recent track record against Nemo, they'll take it. Unfortunately, the glass half-empty side of this is Douglas, this isn't about containing Nemo, this is about beating Nemo, and they need to beat him. They need to actually put up a bit of a score depending on what happens in the other game. Yeah. So at some point, Derek, they're going to have to be a little bit more ambitious, come out of this shape that they actually have at the moment, and as I said, gamble with the heart that's piling forward. And actually I'd love to see Douglas ask some proper questions of the Nemo defence. That's the one disappointing thing I've seen, and Derek has been there and he's defended with Nemo, and he's obviously knows the Nemo defenders better than I am, but there's no questions being asked of them at the moment.
No, and I if I was playing full back there, I'd be delighted. There's an ocean of space. You can read the game, it's been recycled, so you get the second and third chance to almost step in front of your player, and the likes of Brian Murphy and Barry Cripps are well in control. They're just your tenacious kind of man markers, and they're getting that second and third attempt to get back in control because the ball isn't going in fast enough. But at the same time, that full forward line of Douglas probably aren't doing enough to kind of sweat those full backs, and a bit of crisscross running. But I think Douglas need to change it, because where they are getting a little bit of return is the two Hartness running through, but it's almost like when the ball gets recycled, then they take off and go, but at that time the Nemo backline is already congested. So maybe bringing more of the players out just to completely free it up, and put more emphasis on the likes of Powder and the two Hartness to give them the license to run into that space, because certainly trying to look up and target those full forwards, it's completely
bottled up.
It is completely bottled up, yeah.
Like Nemo's strength is probably has been all of them, Derek, I think, is their six backs and midfielders working together, squeezing that middle area, and that's compact today. Powder's inside in the middle. He's not getting on enough ball. That's not his fault, and even if he gets on it, there's too many bodies around. Let's switch him out of the wing, put him in even full forward for a while, and then we have the opportunity to get the direct ball in, but it's playing into Nemo's hands.
It is, Conor. I mean, you're right, because you can see Powder is either taking the ball standing or he's taking the ball with his back to goal.
Yeah.
You want Powder actually coming at angles from 10 or 12, coming on to something, because with his burning pace, you're not going to stay up with him, and he is one of the forwards there that will actually finish. But at the moment, I just don't think they're using the advantages they have now. I could be completely wrong in saying this, but perhaps Douglas have decided, because Derek, you mentioned the game last year and it was just over after 10 or 15 minutes, and there is a possibility that the Douglas management going into this game have said to themselves, let's at least be in this game at half time. Let's be conservative if we have to be and keep us in it at half time, and then let's take the handbrake off. No, maybe I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, maybe I'm being too much of an optimist here, but I just think that there's mental scars there in Douglas in terms of what Nemo can do to you in terms of goals and finishing a game early. So I think probably Douglas said to themselves, let's get to half time 10-5, you'd say you might like it to be maybe a couple of points less than that, but
I think they'll quickly run out of time with that approach, if that indeed was their approach. I think their primary their focus is to play that long ball in, and almost the secondary one is to take the ball on, and that's what I keep mentioning about the Hartnetts and Powter. It's almost their secondary choice, right, I better put the head down here, but then it's already congested, and I think they need to flip that and make option number 2 their option number 1 to get some return here, because Nemo backline is now proving to be very confident. The likes of Brian and Barry, who are young, it's really their first year as ultimate first time starters, and now they're confident, now they're in the game, and I think Douglas have wasted that opportunity.
And I suppose we'll look from a Douglas point of view. I mean, and the positive side of it here, their performance last year against Nemo was shocking. Today they're actually taking the game to them, maybe taking wrong decisions, but in all reality, like, if they were taking the scores that they should be taking, there'd be only a point or two in this game, and we'd like to see the other side of Nemo then under pressure.
What height is Brian Murphy, Derek? I have a reason for asking.
He's my next door neighbour, so if I'm 6'2", I'd say probably 6'1". He's definitely 6 foot.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking is one of the gambits that Douglas can try is bring big Owen O'Sullivan in. And Owen O'Sullivan is a serious athlete. You see him down there. They're actually working on it as we speak down at half time. They're working on the high ball. He's about 6'6", and he's nearly as wide. And it is something maybe that they could look at, and they might say, okay, what kind of height is there in the Nemo full-back line? But again, as you say, that's a different tactic, that's a different style of play then again, and have they prepped for that? Yeah,
but even if they do nothing else, but let the ball in, because they're better off losing the ball inside there than recycling it around and then losing it in their own half-back line. At least they're better off doing that. And by the looks of him, I do agree, he is a pretty impressive looking athlete, so I think they could do far worse than trying that.
Okay, I'm just going to bring you up to date there on some half-time scores that I have in. All of these are confirmed half-times bar one. We have the Island game, Island Castlehaven, so it's Island 2 points, Castlehaven 2 goals and 10. The Bars won 7, Clon 7 points. The Valleys Bishopstown game, it's Valleys 6 points, Bishopstown 4 points. Kevin Canty just edging Valleys ahead there. We're just waiting on that there as a confirmed full time on that one, or a confirmed half time, should I say. The other game then is Carrigaline 7 points, Ballincollig 2 goals and 5, and Carberry, who were trailing a little earlier, are now 1-6 to 1-5 up against Newcestown. So they're the half times that we have. As I said, just that Valleys game isn't a confirmed half time just yet.
Right, that Castlehaven one there, I mean, they're obviously building up their scoring difference there, which might put Nemo under a bit of pressure. Nemo's still ahead on that, but look, if they keep going at the rate they're going, Castlehaven there, they could overtake Nemo and secure that semi-final
just
spot.
Confirming, it's Valleys now 7, Bishopstown 4, and that's a confirmed half time.
Okay.
And that depends, of course, Colm, as I said, what the conditions were. I must admit, speaking to a Bishopstown man yesterday, he didn't hold up much hope now for Bishopstown. Obviously, they don't have anything to play for. Sorry, that's wrong. They can avoid the relegation playoff, I suppose, to play for, just as St. Vincent's did yesterday in the Premier Intermediate. But 7 points to 4, if they were to hang in there, I mean, that has a huge significance on what happens here. And Connor's right, in that Island Rovers Castlehaven game, the one thing they're doing at the moment is they're putting up a score. Derek, at the moment now, Nemo are, you got to remember, they were plus 22 and Castlehaven are plus 11.
Yeah, in fairness, Castlehaven seem to be making a big inroads in it. Whether that news will trickle into the team for Nemo here, I doubt it. I think that they'll keep that news out of it and let Nemo concentrate on this game.
Yeah, we're just getting confirmation that Owen O'Sullivan is in for Douglas, thanks to eagle-eyed Connor alongside me here. Connor Coonan is next to me here in the commentary box, and we also have Derek Kavanagh and Tony Lean alongside us. Sam Collins, by the way, is the man that's making way there for Owen O'Sullivan. So
I can certainly see that height differential there, right, Tony? So that will have to be their strategy to lump that ball in.
And the breeze certainly does look as if it's after picking up a bit. It certainly is up here.
And it's fresh, it's favouring Douglas, Connor.
Yeah.
Douglas can manufacture, and we'll keep you updated as well too on the action as they develop, maybe around the time of the water breaks across the venues.
This will be an interesting run.
Injury time and other such things will be factored. Shawnee Powter trying to again manufacture something, going to go himself at this occasion, but has driven it wide. I'd say that's really the first time he's managed to get a shot off in anger, is it?
Yeah, and it might have been a chance there maybe to pop it to the Niall Hartnett on the run. Didn't happen, but again, a lot of bodies around Prouter on that occasion.
So young Tony did a Trojan job yesterday for us in Mourneabbey with the calculations and the permutations, so absolutely no pressure on you this afternoon here, Tony, to do likewise again this afternoon. That was some piece of feeling there by Brian Collins. Soared up, I won't say he was the smallest man in the group, but he was giving away a few inches, but wonderful piece of feeling there.
Yeah, super catch by Brian Collins. I think that the nicest piece of skill I've seen on show today, actually. Just caught it beautifully, got up really high. Something we haven't seen much of today, so really nice to see.
It's Brian Hartnett off out there, going short to Dylan Ward. Ward trying to open up something onto his left, and Dylan Ward, the umpire was waving that one long before it had crossed the crossbar. He was tracking that one, and that was a nice score by your corner back.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if that's his second score. That one came off his left leg there. I'd assume playing right corner back, he's naturally right footed, but great to see a guy with 2 feet like that.
And in fairness to Dylan would be a utility player. Dylan would be as comfortable up wing forward as he would be corner back, so he wouldn't be getting any nosebleeds if he went up to the top third of the field. He'd be very comfortable there.
Alan Cronin working his way out of trouble. Shawnee Powter though dispossessing him. Looked to be
I think that was a harsh play there. I think that was Powter. I think got his hand across, connected with the ball, and I think dispossessed the Nemo player fair enough, and harsh free.
And it was going to be dangerous because it was a turnover. It was all wide open at the other side if he had got away with it. Yeah, 4-point margin now is still with Nemo still in the driving seat. But look, if we could get a Douglas goal, it might bring the thing around a bit.
Barry Driscoll is the man holding, looking for a runner. It's worked all the way back again, and it's back with Ronan Dalton. Heavy blow there for Peter Morgan. Did well to readjust back to Dalton. Kerrigan. Ball in there to the midfielder Peter Morgan, but the shot away. But the tackle that was coming in from
good
Brian
opportunity
Collins
there for Peter. He got in good space, got a good ball. It was a healthy enough opportunity to score from, but just went wide. But I must say I'm impressed with the Douglas setup in the backs. They are marshalling the Nemo forwards pretty well, and not giving anything away lightly.
Credit as well to Brian Collins on that occasion too for coming across on Morgan as he was getting the shot off. Great piece of fielding there by Niall Hartnett. Looks to go into Hart, Daniel Hart that was. Cornerback there, Dylan Ward. The point scorer, Dylan Ward, we should prefix it with. Hartnett chasing on, opts to go inside towards Dylan Ward. Has a man inside him, half blocked there. It's going to come to Hart. Hart forced to go down onto the ground on that one. We'll work back again. It's back with Brian Hartnett. Hartnett on the 21. Good kick, good connection, and a good point by him.
Seems to be a bit of bite to Douglas here. There's a bit of energy to them. They're certainly making Nemo think twice. Is the ball going to go in long? Are they going to carry it? There's just a lot more dynamic now to their play.
If you were the Douglas management, you'd be very glad that went over the bar, because that was a real goal scoring opportunity if they'd actually moved the ball properly. They'd certainly want to be coming away from that attack with something.
Dylan Ward.
Breeze is getting stronger all the time, and even Nemo's last point scoring opportunity there faded away because of the strong wind against them.
Yeah, very much in Douglas' favour now. It definitely wasn't this strong in the first half.
Luke Connolly on the ball there. Ronan Dalton, the centre forward, almost playing in a quarterback role to deliver the pass there, and not for the first time. Luke Connolly gets on the ball, causes a bit of consternation, and a free being awarded to Nemo, and the big full forward himself is going to take this one. As the breeze, I'm not sure, can you pick it up even here on the microphones, as the breeze is starting to pick up here, even up in the commentary gantry here.
Yeah, and it's so strong I'd actually question, is Luke going to knock this over now, because it's a strong breeze going into his face. He's probably about 35 metres out. I'd question, will this go over?
Well, with the courtesy of a post there, managed to get it over, but Derek, you have to say he had quite a distance to kick it anyway, and that breeze as well.
Yeah, that breeze in his face. He's just a beautiful striker of the ball, and fair play to him. It's
I just wonder at some stage, are we overestimating the breeze, the fact that we're up here so high, maybe it isn't as bad down there on the ground.
Just watching some of the flags down there, Connor, as well, though, they just in that corner they seem to be fluttering quite a bit as well, but it's a fair point. We are quite some way up here on level 3 at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Eerie feeling, isn't it, lads, being in a stadium like this with no crowds. Barry O'Driscoll. Forced to go all the way back there, and foot race. It looked to be Dalton that was chasing after it, but he had the assistance and help of James McDermott behind him. And it's down here in front of us there with Colin Tucker O'Brien. We've got Brian Collins for company, offloads it quickly in.
I'm not sure, lads.
No,
I'm really not sure there.
He did nothing wrong there that he wasn't doing in the first second of that confrontation, and eventually the referee just blew a free, and I just don't think it was consistent.
Yeah, I'd be a bit disappointed now as well. I think Luke has kind of sensed that, if I keep it long enough here, I think the ref is on my side and I'm going to win this. But again, Douglas, in terms of the sweeper system, just about a minute ago, Barry O'Driscoll was played a ball out to the corner there. He had 10 yards on his man, and no one got near him. So you just wonder, again, about sweepers and tight marking. It just doesn't seem to be happening.
End result anyway is a free, and it is a free to Nemo, and it is a free that Luke Connolly is going to step over. Had the assistance of the post on the last occasion. Let's see what he's going to do this time.
Unlucky.
Wind wasn't his friend there, and looked to be tracking well, and then just at the last few moments just got caught and trailed wide.
I think, in fairness, Colm, I think Nemo have come out a little bit flat in this second half. Douglas, you couldn't be saying that Douglas have upped the ante hugely. I think Douglas have probably been a little bit the better side, and I think there's a little chink there, but maybe I should keep quiet for a second.
Poor kick out by
no, I'd agree with you, Tony. I just think there seems to be some bit of pep gone. I'm not sure, I can't yet identify what's gone wrong. Certainly the first half, Nemo were using the ball very economically and scoring quite easily, but I'm just not seeing it as fluent in this half.
I'm a bit disappointed there with Brian Boyle in the last few kick-outs. The last kick-out there, the two Hartletts were on one wing, marked by one Nemo man, and he didn't get the ball away. He kicked it to the opposite wing.
And Barry O'Driscoll applying the point there for Nemo after good work on the back of that poor kick-out. Anyway, let's go back to the play here. It's Hartnett. Looking to go route one inside there. Defender caught. And it's in with Conor Russell. Russell blocked though, and Nemo yet again coming out at pace, and it's back out with Ronan Dalton. Just going past the halfway line in as far as Barry O'Driscoll. Calls inside for it. Nice little foot pass by O'Driscoll into his corner forward to Mark Cronin, but well dispossessed there by Nathan Walsh.
I'm really impressed with this Sean Wilson. I think he's done a superb job on Mark Cronin. Every time I look down at him, he's absolutely all over him. He's just this real tenacious back, and he seems to be able to read the play extremely well as well. Very impressed with him.
Opting to go
Yeah, I'm sorry, Colm, I met Ronan McCarthy actually coming in the gate here today. We'll just see this tack is petering out. I met Ronan McCarthy coming in, and Sean Wilson is a player, as you know, who's obviously played for Cork. He's played National League. He's had issues with injuries. He actually got injured in the last game against Valley Rovers, and you feel he's the kind of athlete that if he got a good run, he is a proper defender. And you say that yourself. Mark Cronin is a serious forward, Derek.
Yeah.
And Sean Wilson has done very well in him today.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Connor's pointing out, you with this. With the sweeper system, what you tend to get is this kind of false security in numbers, and it tends to kind of dilute the type of tenacious cornerback, fullback who's all over their man. But certainly I think Sean has kind of cut from the conventional cloth of just being all over his man, and he's very effective at it.
Treatment down here in front of us. It looks to be Conor Russell, that's just been treated there. Sorry, Conor.
Yeah, the other thing is very obvious, both teams not using the mark to any great extent, and that's something that I'm surprised at, because it is a big opportunity, and it'll be interesting if the inter-county campaign comes along as to what teams use that to a benefit, because I believe it is a big benefit to the teams if they can use it right, but certainly we're not seeing any of that here today.
You feeling that Douglas missing a trick given the size and the power of their two midfielders in terms of the kick-outs especially?
Well, yeah, absolutely, and I suppose the fact that they have Ona Sullivan inside full forward now, we'd like to see a bit more high ball going in there.
Powerful kick-out, and yet again under it, who's unlucky on that occasion. I must say Brian Collins
quite surprised actually in both teams that both kick-outs are quite conventional, just lumping it out and hoping for the best. Just a little bit surprised at this day and age that we're not seeing a bit more alternative thinking there in the kick-outs.
Brian Collins forced to readjust and win possession, did very well, and wins the free off Kieran Histon. Kind of a punch pass and wasn't really expecting it, but managed to readjust his footing and win the free.
We'll see how strong this wind is here now, Conor, with this free kick.
Yeah, this is quite capable given the breeze that's behind him. Yeah, you could see from that there was plenty to spare in that. 45 metres, probably another 10 metres in it.
Conor Russell.
Douglas now really need to push on.
Yeah, 42 minutes gone on the clock here on our left hand side. It's Nemo Rangers 12 points, Douglas 8 points, 4 points between the sides. And let's see now what Douglas can manufacture coming down the stretcher. The champions,
I think Nemo have adjusted their kick out there. They've gone wide. They went back to that kick out, went direct to the corner. I think they've realised that they're not getting much reward from the midfield battle from the kick-outs.
But from a Douglas point of view, Derek, you'd be disappointed in not pushing up and forcing them to go along, because that's where Douglas' strength is.
It's Kevin O'Donovan herring away there on the ball as James McDermott stationed alongside him, and Paul Kerrigan back into that kind of playmaking role yet again, drives past Brian Collins. Still Kerrigan loses possession, going to work it back up. Lovely little pick up by Kerrigan. Great ball right across the front of the goal. Chasing under it there is the corner forward down there. He's opting to get it into a more central position into Kevin O'Donovan. O'Donovan though is swallowed up, and great play there by Douglas and Brian Collins setting them on their way, and it's Brian Harton now opting to go right out to the far side there with for a second there I thought Harton was going to be back on it, but in this occasion it's Joseph Hart going down here. In front of us is the cornerback yet again. He's not going to go for another score. Takes a heavy blow to the head there from his opposite number.
Tackle there. I think there could be a card coming out here. I don't think there was that malice, but it was extremely clumsy. Could have done us a bit of damage, but we're okay.
Yeah, it was Dylan Ward that was racing through, and Barry Cripps, his opposite number, can count himself a lucky man that he didn't get a card.
Yeah, it was careless, and as you said, from here there seemed to be a fair amount of contact.
No. Yeah. Conor Russell, we saw the post coming to the aid of Luke Connolly down the far end a few moments ago, and it comes to the aid of Conor Russell there, and it's closing the gap ever so closely down to 3 points.
Any word, Colin, from the Bishopstown game at the minute?
I'm going to check in on that there in a few moments' time. I can tell you it's Valley's 8 points, Bishopstown 4 points. That's the latest. So Valley's now stretching out to a 4-point lead. Back with the action here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as the calculators are starting to be warmed up here. Latest score as well too that I'm getting in from Ballincollig, 2-7 Carrigaline, 9 points. I think as you were predicting that in that Group A clash there, that Ballincollig really in pole position there. The question is, will they or could they overtake the Bars there? We'll get an update on the Bars result in a few moments, or the latest score should I say. Not a result for another 15 minutes. Back with the action here, it's Kieran Histon, the centre back. A nice little turn by him to get around Niall Hartnett, going through the hands here, and it's in with Paul Kerrigan. And Kerrigan off the edge of the boot, and that is a fine effort
Beautiful
by
point.
Kerrigan.
Outside or right, just into that wind. He used the wind in his face to kind of almost carry the pressure of the ball. Beautiful point from Paul.
That's typical of Paul. He's had a quite game by his own standards, but he just comes up, and that's just such a crucial point.
How many times have we said that about you look around the field at times and you say, where's Paul Kerrigan? Is he doing anything? And then he has a 10-minute spell where he basically almost takes over the game.
Just the Carbery Rangers game, lads. It's 1-6.
They should be trying to high ball in now. Try to
1-5.
use that breeze. Douglas should try use that the height advantage they have inside now, but they're just not doing it.
Valley's pushing their lead out, by the way, against Bishopstown. They're now 9 points to 4. Down here in front of us, Kevin Flav going through the hands here with his cornerback. It's Luke McGrath. Got Brian Hartnett inside, but opts to go back to Flav. Flav going first time, but not one but two Douglas men inside of those. One of those being Alan Cronin.
Yeah, Kevin Flav will be disappointed with that ball. Looked up, it really wasn't on, and now Nemo set up a counter attack.
Yeah, but it just shows, Connor, isn't it, the fact that Nemo had two men tracking back there, waiting in the space in the pocket. McDermott to Luke Conley, just holding it up, waiting for something to come on. Back to McDermott. Kerrigan is making the run, calls the mark, and that just shows, though, the mark. It doesn't have to be a booming 30-yard kick. In that occasion, it was only about 15 yards, but perfectly placed, though.
And you're quite right there, because that's far more the likely one that's going to happen, unless you have a guy 6'4" inside there or something like that. And I imagine, in the All-Ireland series, we're going to see some of the northern teams in particular, I think, will be very sharp on that mark.
Yeah, like on that occasion, McDermott had plenty of space. He was just maybe 6-7 yards outside the 45. Paul was 6 or 7 inside, and plenty of space, and it was just a little pop pass.
Just a simple pop pass is right, it worked well. And certainly I think Douglas defensively have the measure of Nemo in the last couple of minutes, and I think Nemo have to play to their strengths now, and they're just bringing it back to basics, and wherever they can secure possession, they're trying to do it. So yeah, I do think they should use it more now.
The Bars scoreline, by the way, Connor, we were just talking about it there. It's 112 to the Bars. Clon 9 points. I'll tell you, it looks like a ding-dong battle between Newcestown and Carbery Rangers. It's Newcestown 1 goal and 8 points, Carbery Rangers 1 goal and 6. And I was looking back at half time, Carbery were 1-6 to 1-5 up, so according to that, Carbery have failed to score in the third quarter down there. Valleys, as I said, 9 points to Bishopstown, 1 goal and 6. So it's all square there.
This is nearly turning into a count centre here with all the various permutations happening around the place. So
yeah, I think the Bars are racking up a big score there. So between the Bars, Castlehaven and Nemo, there's a big demand for that first semi-final spot.
Yeah, and we just have as well to Cargill 9 points, Ballincollig 2 goals and 7.
Has been replaced by number 28, Shane McCarthy.
Daniel Hart of Douglas, who was wearing number 17, has been replaced by Shane McCarthy, who's wearing number 28. So we're down the final stretch here now, the final quarter, in a very cool and breezy Páirc Uí Chaoimh this afternoon. And it's Nemo Rangers 13 points, Douglas 9 points. The clock ticking on. We'll have to get an update there on the Castlehaven scoreline. As we said, they were racking up a massive score, 2 goals and 10 to 2 points against Island Rovers. And of course, all these scores will come into play in the bid to see who's going to be the top ranked team coming out of the groups and directly into the semi-final slot. The shot taken off by McCarthy, the man just on there, Shane McCarthy. That one.
Another one.
Getting a word that there's a goal in the Bishopstown Valley Rovers game. We'll update on that one. Substitute coming on as well there for Nemo. We'll track that. It's coming left, right and centre here for us. I'll tell you, there's more action up here in the commentary box. We still have it as Valley's 9 points, Bishopstown 1-7, but we'll see if there is an update on that coming in. on the Twitter machine, and from the County Board PRO, Joe Blake, who's also assisting us. Latest is, it's still 1-7 to Bishopstown now, and 9 points to Valleys. And Bishopstown, though, have picked up a red card, according to the latest that we're getting from that game there. Trying to keep you up to speed.
Sloppy play there from Nemo, just I think a bit past too many, and way to go.
Now here comes Shawnee Powder on the edge of the exclusion zone. That's the 21-yard line. Still Powder on the 14. Powder just runs out of ground, and the goalkeeper Micheál Martin easily comes out and clears it. But for 1 second there, that lad Powder had done what we've been expecting him to do, built up a head of steam, was racing through on goals, but the Nemo defence just came across, crowded him out, and in the end the ball just rolled into the goalkeeper. James McDermott is the midfielder, and going back with Peter Morgan, and right across the field there. Here comes Nemo again. Looks to be Barry O'Driscoll, who's coming onto it there, loses it, and it's after breaking perfectly for Kevin O'Donovan, who's coming through a la Powder a few moments ago. He's going to go right across to Barry O'Driscoll, and O'Driscoll, great save by the goalkeeper, getting down Brian Boyle, because that would have been curtains if he had knocked that one in, Conor.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was Brian Boyle or was it the cornerback that got back on the line to clear it. Kevin O'Donovan split the defence there on a good turnover. Prior to that, Douglas again having an awful lot of ball, but didn't make use of. Powder got through there, and there was a half chance there. Nothing happened. If we got a goal at that stage, it would really made for a lively 5 minutes. But Brian Hartnett has been massive in the middle of the field for Douglas.
The result is going to be 45 yards, 45 there for Luke Conley standing on the line. And let's see a test of that breeze that we saw a few moments ago with the Conor Russell effort at the other end of the field.
You can see that breeze there. You can see it across Luke's jersey as he's lining up for this. So it is quite considerable down there.
Drops a bit, and the goalkeeper giving the post a bit of a pull as well to make sure that wasn't going to intervene in any shape or form.
I think the opportunity is there now for Douglas, I think, to kick on here. They're 4 points behind. They're kind of going toe to toe with Nemo over the last couple of minutes, but before you know it, they're going to run out of time with 52 minutes on the clock there. Yeah. So I think they're going to need to kick in. There's a goal in them if they can. I think they're not trying that long ball in to Owen O'Sullivan at all. He's been brought in maybe about 15 minutes ago into that spot. He looks head and shoulders above the full back line, and I don't think they've used it once, and they're not troubling Nemo enough.
Substitutions coming on. It's Brian Collins making way, and it's Andy O'Connell wearing number 24 that's after coming on. Looks that Nemo as well to have made a substitution as well. Looks to be Peter Morgan that's gone off, but we'll track back on that one there. Anyway,
Owen O'Sullivan is isolated inside. Like, they've got
nice ball. That's a killer ball in there now for a full back to defend that well. Yeah. Just overhit, but the nice ball, that diagonal ball. I remember as a full back, that's the ball you absolutely dreaded coming in.
Number 8, Peter Morgan, is replaced by number 17, Kevin Fullinati.
Yeah, Kevin Fullinati in place of Peter Morgan, as we mentioned there. And that piece of play there from Conor Russell, that free, again, maybe a sign of the power of the wind there. It was a lovely ball, as Derek pointed out there, but just carried a bit too much pace and right out over the end line, and the opportunity lost. It's Conor Horgan who's the man on. Going through the hands, Paul Carrigan looked for the offload, no one on, so decided he'd go himself. And isn't it great?
Super score there from Nemo. Just a short kick out, worked up down the line, very economical. Super score there from Paul.
Yeah, very simple again, but that's what it's all about, isn't it? Doing the simple things right.
14 points to 9 points as we're at 54 minutes here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Great piece of fielding there by Barry O'Driscoll, kind of fell into him. Wasn't complaining there, despite all the big men around him. Kevin O'Donovan down there, back with Luke Conley. Great ball in by Conley into the man wearing number 17. Great save by the goalkeeper Kevin Fullinati in as the sub, but the goalkeeper out very quickly to save it out. Liam Deneen out as far as Brian Hartnett, and here come Douglas yet again, but that little incisive pass there just showing how Nemo can open you up. Conor Russell is on the ball, trying to work it into his left hand side, but not going to be happy with the finish there as it trails right past.
Can't understand that. The ball, that's, that ball was on to Owen O'Sullivan in the full forward line. Even in front of him, not to mention, didn't even have to be a high ball in.
Poor shot selection, Derek, a really poor, and coming inside onto his weak side, and that's fine. You know, you'd really want to be absolutely certain there. Like, I mean, every attack for Douglas now, there's 55 minutes gone. They're 14 points to 9 ahead. They now have to, like, you can't die wondering. They've got to go for it now, like, and they've got to make good choices, and I'm afraid that wasn't a good choice.
Kieran Histon rides out 2 or 3 tackles there. Great play by him as Nemo retained possession.
Nemo, playing it out now, just keeping possession and drawing Douglas out and taking control back, because they had been quite scrappy there for 5 minutes or so, but now they're back in control.
Barry Cripps is the cornerback there. Great turn of pace by him. Pass was a bit overcooked, but looks to be Mark Cronin that's getting onto it, but the Douglas defender doing very well there to win it back, and wins a free out as well, taken quickly out to Brian Hartnett. Sean Powder, just a confirmation of another substitution. Joseph Hart, wearing number 18, being replaced by number 7, Brendan Powder, who didn't start this afternoon, was due to. It's Kevin Flahav. He's on the ball here, calls inside him, it's Hartnett. He's forced to go back to his full back to Nathan Walsh. Hartnett again, looking for something to open up, and he's going to pass it off to the brother, but again, poor shot selection right into the goalkeeper, and quick free out being awarded there. James McDermott, the midfielder.
Just the sting seems to be gone out of this game. There was Nemo looked like they were being threatened there for a good 10-15 minutes of the second half, but they just seemed completely in control. And I wouldn't put it down to anything that Nemo are particularly doing well. I just think it's the lack of a scoring threat from Douglas more than anything. And with the time now slipping by, 5 points up, I think Nemo are almost there.
It was interesting there when Luke Connolly won that ball. I don't think there was anyone inside him bar the goalkeeper. Shot coming right across the field. Powder did ever so well to get on to the end of it. Still Shawnee Powder's got Russell inside him. Russell on the left, off the crossbar from the corner forward. Powder did so well to pick out the corner forward. What a blast of an effort. The luck just not with
they needed that. That was a super little slip off from Powder, and did everything right there, Russell, but just hit the crossbar. I feel sorry from there because he actually did everything right.
Yeah, when your luck's not in, it's just not in.
That would have given us a really hectic last few minutes, but unfortunately, a bit of bad luck there, hit off the crossbar, and Nemo now, with about a couple of minutes left, we'll see it out, I'd imagine.
I'd say Tony's going to start producing the calculator, the abacus or whatever he has up his sleeve there, but we can take it anywhere from this one that Nemo will have completed 3 from 3 and will be topping the group. The race on to see who's going to be in the second slot behind him as we're updating the latest in Group C.
Well, at the moment, Colm, and again, you know what my maths is like, but at the moment, the actual last couple of minutes here and every score here is actually very important, because Bishopstown are now beating Valley Rovers 1-8 to 9 points. And that's moving into the last 4 or 5 minutes of that game, so that would actually reduce Valley Rovers to -4. Now Douglas at the moment are +2 and they've lost it 6 points, so they're also -4. So the two, Douglas and Valley Rovers, would be on 2 points and they'd be -4. Bishopstown would always also be 2 points if they were to hold on, but unfortunately their point difference is so inferior, they're -20. So I'm not sure whether the lads down on the sideline know this. There's 59 minutes gone, but every point either way now could be the difference between making a quarter final and not.
But again, Douglas need to have better, don't they, because they'll go on the head-to-head here. I take it after the scoring difference.
If there's 2 teams involved, Connery would. If it's 3 teams, it's scoring difference. If it's 2 teams, it's head-to-head. So Valleys would still have the advantage. But again, Nemo look as if they're in
Goal
again
on
here.
must be a
Almost
goal.
3-on-2
Conley
here,
is the
so
man
it could
that's
be a goal
in
for
possession.
Nemo.
Is he going to go himself? No, he's going to opt to go right across the front of the goal to the centre forward, who was perfectly
So that's the
positioned. That was,
semi-final slot confirmed
Doug.
there from Nemo, I would imagine.
And it's also puts Douglas out of the equation, because if they hadn't conceded that goal, you'd think that they could have got there, maybe even scoring difference. But
Dalton there on the edge of the square and just had the simplest of tap-ins after Luke Connolly found him with the pass, but again Douglas shooting themselves in the foot, losing possession, and you really don't want to be doing that against any team, but especially when you're against the county champions in the shape of Nemo Rangers. It's pushed it out to 115 to 9 points. We're just coming up on 60 minutes. We will have some bit of additional time due to all the substitutes that have been introduced over the last while. That's Brian Hartnett who's on the ball there, and that's the 45-yard line that he's crossing. You're watching the Irish Examiner's live stream coverage of the Bon Secours Cork Premier Senior Football Championship clash here this afternoon. Delighted to have Tony Lean, Conor Coonahan and Derek Kavanagh alongside me. Is that the third?
That's the third point for Dylan Ward.
The corner back for Douglas. I'd be redeploying in a corner forward.
They don't make cornerbacks like that anymore, so they don't know. In fairness to the young fellas, great composure there.
I think in fairness to whoever is the equivalent Nemo corner forward will be getting a bit of a slagging in Trebeg tonight, by the way, as well.
Valley's game is level. I'm told it's just coming in. Valley's Bishopstown is all square at the moment, so that's the latest on that one. Here comes Shawnee Powder opting to go right across, and a goal chance here. And is it in the back of the net? Yes, it is.
We could have a bit yet here in terms of the scoring difference.
We have a goal for Douglas. Not sure, was it Shane McCarthy, the man wearing number 28, is the man who's after slotting it home.
Yeah, game's gone a bit scrappy now. It's completely opened up. Looks like anything could happen in the last couple of minutes.
115 to 110, 61 minutes elapsed. Let's count it down here as Barry O'Driscoll is chasing after this one in front of us here in the stand. Powder trying to hold him, or not Powder should I say, that was the other Powder, Brendan Powder, trying to hold him up. Looks like Shawnee and Brendan go to the same boot supplier. Ball spilling away, great play yet again by Sean Wilson, I think, down there. And Douglas coming, I don't know, are they getting word of what's happening out between Valleys and Bishopstown, that it's still all to play for Dylan Ward, is after winning the free back there. He's furious with the referee that advantage wasn't continuing from that one. So too is Brian Hartnett. With the
again, it was actually Dylan Ward got on that ball and won that free, so he's actually causing a lot of trouble there throughout this whole game.
And it's a card being shown there, I think, is it, to the wing back for Nemo, Kevin O'Donovan. He's also been impressive going forward. Hartnett opting to go right across to Niall Hartnett. Back to Brian Hartnett. We still haven't had word of what the time. 1 minute additional time, and we're being told that with 62 minutes on the clock. So I'm not sure, is it a minute on to the 62, or are we gone overtime here? That's into Luke Conley. Calls to go back. He does just that, picking out Colin O'Brien up to right across the field there to Paul Kerrigan. Plenty of time. Kerrigan, great ball, picking out Fillinati, and he in turn has Stephen Cronin as a runner inside him. Connolly, who started all of that, back in possession again. Great running off the ball by him, must be said. And with that is the final whistle here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. 1 goal and 15 points to Nemo Rangers. Douglas 1 goal and 10. And now the calculations begin. So Derek, from a Nemo Rangers perspective, they wouldn't be overly pleased with that, would they?
No, it was a little bit scrappy at times. I think Douglas backs certainly curtail Nemo. 115 isn't a bad scoreline to finish with, but you know, they were okay. I think if Douglas had a top quality scoring threat, which they clearly lacked, I think would have been a very, very different game. So I think Douglas had loads of the opportunity, especially in the first half. They probably had a little bit more possession than Nemo. It seemed to be very comfortable, but somehow they found themselves towards the end of the first half 4 or 5 points down when there was really no need to be, you know.
Yeah, we got a bit scrappy there in that last quarter as well too. Is that just one of the occupational hazards when you're psychologically almost into the knockout stages?
I think so, definitely. There just seemed to be a bit of the challenge of the game seemed to be gone. It got a little bit silly in terms of just passing around for the sake of it. The championship cut and trust seemed to be gone out of it, and I just think Douglas realised they were gone, and Nemo realised they were through, and just kind of got a bit silly, and it just looked like in the last 3 or 4 minutes, especially in injury time, anything could have happened there,
Douglas, as Derek said, will have a lot, Conor, to look back on and be quite upset about.
Yeah, they will, but look, I suppose whether we like it or not, I suppose Douglas would be seen to some extent as being but just being a bit just a bit on the soft side. Today I thought they fought hard throughout. The errors they made today weren't from the point of view of spirit or lack of effort. They were just in terms of making the right decisions at the right time, and like I think there's a bit of hope. I came out of last year's game, Nemo and Douglas, and I was saying, look, Douglas, history, like they just don't put it together. Today I'd feel a sense of heart in terms of I saw 15-18 guys out there trying hard. Yes, they didn't have the experience that Nemo have. They made poor decisions at times, which cost them in the game. But yes, there is a future for Douglas. Now, whether this future remains in this championship or not, maybe Tony, you can bring us up to speed on that.
Well, look, this is like an old record, Conor. I'm hearing the two of you. Unfortunately, the problem with Douglas is, and we said it today against Bishopstown, and there's no simple solution to it, and it doesn't give me any joy to say it, is at the moment Douglas don't have natural forwards. That is it. Unfortunately, the club has manufactured forwards. There are some good lads coming through. I saw the minor team recently there put up a massive score against Ballincollig in a very important game, and there's a couple of very good young lads, but they're a bit away yet. At the moment, this needed to be a game that was extraordinarily tight for Douglas to thrive in it. Like, it needed to be a game that there was a point in it with 10 minutes to go, and unfortunately, Derek, I think you said it there, I think Nemo were just too comfortable for too long. I don't think Nemo ever really looked like a side that was panicking there or was in a position where they might lose that game.
No, and it would have been different, as you say, if they had that scoring threat. Even in the first half, when they were toe-to-toe, they were missing 3 and 4 and 5 frees. Could have easily been different coming into half time. Douglas should have been at best level and went in 4 points down. Again, it's just that lack of scoring threat.
The scores column are coming in at the moment, and one thing we can confirm already is that Castlehaven are going to be the side going directly through to the semi-finals, because they have put 419 on Island Rovers, which turns them from a plus 11 scoring difference to a plus 32 scoring difference. They've obviously 6 points out of 6, and Nemo Rangers now, by my reckoning, are plus 27 with 6 points out of 6, so they will be the second ranked team.
Another scoreline that I can give you a full time, it's Ballincollig 2 goals and 8 points, Carrigaline 11 points, so Ballincollig look to be assured of second spot. At least we have to just get the full time.
Well, they're 4 points. Well. Yeah, they're 4 points and plus 7. Obviously, the Bars are going to top that group, presuming that they have held on against Clon. And I know there is a dangerous presumption in that. But if that was to be the case, Castlehaven will go in as the top ranked side straight to the semi-final. Nemo will be number 2 ranked, and Bars will be number 3 ranked, because the group winners are always the first 3 rankings.
And as well, we're hearing as well, Newcestown, Conor, are after scoring another goal against Carbery Rangers. We'll update you. They were leading 1-11 to 1 goal and 6, so we'll just try and update that. Conor.
Yeah, I suppose just on that thing about Castlehaven going straight into the semi-final, we've all seen this in the past in terms of the All-Ireland series. It isn't always that advantage, because you're sitting waiting maybe for 3 or 4 weeks now, depending on other results, because hurling combinations can impact on this. So it mightn't be the advantage that it might seem to be.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, but I suppose the one thing that's going for them is the thing with COVID now is it's probably going to be a lockdown date for it. They probably won't be waiting that long, but yeah, I don't think Nemo will be too peeved with having to go into a quarter-final as opposed to a semi-final after that victory today.
Yeah, because I mean today was pedestrian enough from an Nemo point of view, and Colin mentioned it there about the psychological thing. Did they really have to push the boat out? They didn't. So like the next day, it'll be championship, it'll be knockout. They'll have to bring their best game forward, and you'll have no excuses then from them, and I think mentally they'll be in a better place in that game.
Latest I'm getting from Valley Rovers, Bishopstown, it's Valley Rovers 12 points, Bishopstown 1 goal and 8. So Valley Rovers
that's gone into injury time.
Just up by a point. I think it's Fiacre Lynch that's after edging Valleys ahead there. So we'll just keep you updated on that.
Well, at this stage, Colm, they are going to qualify anyway now because, I mean, their scoring difference, of course, it depends. If Bishopstown were to grab a late goal, it could change things again. But Douglas are going to finish -3 on 2 points. Valleys also have 2 points. As you said, they're a point ahead going into injury time. If they do come through, they will come through in the second place. It looks to me, with that scoreline, by the way, Newcestown 2-11, Carbery Rangers 1-6, an 8-point gap. That looks Newcestown are a lock to come in as the second team in the group. And the one result we're waiting for is the Bars Clonakilty game to see whether Clonakilty can overtake it. But they're going to, I mean, given now the 3, they're at Ballincollig are +7.
So it's
it would mean Clonakilty winning by 8 or 9
Is it
points.
between Ballincollig and Clon? So for that last spot,
Have a confirmation just on the Bar scoreline. It's finished in Finbars 1 goal and 17 points, Clonakilty 1 goal and 13 points. So the Bars win by 4. That would mean that they will top Group A, and as Tony said, that is pushing them top of Group A. And Ballincollig, who we mentioned a little earlier, winning their game against Carrigaline 2-8 to 11. So just looking across the tables in Group A, it's as you were, Bars and Ballincollig. Group B, Castlehaven and Newcestown, and Group C then we have Nemo on top, and we're just waiting to see how that Valleys game finishes against Bishopstown.
And you know, it's, I won't say it's predictable, but if we were to actually look at it, Derek, and we'd have said you mightn't have put them in this order, Haven, Bars, Nemo, you know, you'd probably say Duhallow are the fourth team that you'd be rating, and obviously they're not in the group phase. So it's pretty much as, I know Nemo might be a little bit disappointed, but it's pretty much as we'd expected. Is Haven 1, Nemo 2, Bars 3. Those 3 are the top sides.
I suppose that's what you want from any competition. Is you I suppose you want the best teams to get through, and it looks like that's what happened. That, you know, we'd have all like maybe a little bit of an upset here and there but that's what we have, and I think what you've got now is are the best teams in the quarterfinal. I would agree with you. It's Nemo, Bars, Castlehaven with Duhallow as your top 4. It looks like it's going to be Newcestown, Ballincollig and Valleys forming that last
Valleys is
8.
confirmed, by the way. Valleys have won by a point, Colm, so they are confirmed as the second team.
I'm sure, is it Newcestown and Ballincollig by my sums here make it through as well?
Yes, I mean, it looks to me that number 7, if you're number 7 in the ranking, is Duhallow. So if we want to actually work it out now, we can actually do it. Number 7 is Duhallow, number 1 is Haven, number 2 is Nemo, number 3 is the Bars.
4.
You were waiting for a result from the Ballincollig Clon game. I still don't have a final result from that.
Ballincollig,
do we have that?
Do we have that one? It was Ballincollig Carrigaline, so it was Ballincollig 2 goals and 8, Carrigaline 0-11.
Oh yeah, and sure, Clon were playing the Bars, so they are actually gone. So Clon are gone, and Ballincollig are actually through, so that's +3.
So while Tony's working out that, just want to mention that we have another live game this afternoon on our Irish Examiner live stream service. That's down in Enniskeane. It's in the Senior A Football Championship, and that's going to be pitting O'Donovan Rossa against St. Michael's, our commentary team down there this afternoon, Oisin Langan and Larry Tompkins. Now if you're watching this match, we're going to still continue on just with the permutations and a bit of chat as well, but if you're looking for the other game, we'll be setting up another stream on the Irish Examiner website. So it's very simple. All you have to do is log on again, irishexaminer.com/sport/GAA, and you'll see the story there linking you out to the game which is taking place down in Enniskeane with Oisin and Larry, and they'll be getting underway at about 3:50 or thereabouts. Next weekend hurling obviously dominating the landscape with semi-finals and quarter-finals across the grades, and we also have big action as well with ladies football, and more.
I think that's right now.
Of course, chasing yet another title, and they're facing West Cork. What a game they produced in the earlier group stages. They're meeting again in the final. That's on in Cork IT. We're going to be live and exclusive at that one from 5 o'clock on Saturday. Tony, back to you.
Or by our reckoning, Cullum, and others might come and actually join us just to confirm this, Castlehaven are the number 1 ranked team. They go straight into the semi-final. By our reckoning, Nemo are 2, St Finbarrs are 3, Newcestown are 4, Ballincollig are 5, Valley Rovers are 6, and Duhallow as the divisional and colleges winners are 7. So that means Castlehaven go straight into a Premier Senior Football semi-final. Number 6 plays number 7, so Valley Rovers will play Duhallow, and then Nemo Rangers will play Ballincollig, and the Bars will play Newcestown, the other quarter-finals.
Okay, so the calculations done. That wasn't too painful there on you, Tony. Fair play to you, keeping us all well informed throughout. Again, as we said, that was some scoreline that Castlehaven were after putting up to Pip Nemo. It would.
They'd have enjoyed doing that. They'd have been sewing it into Island Rovers, not necessarily just for local rivalry, but the fact that they wanted the number 1 slot, they weren't going to let up. If I could just, I know the other lads will have their views, if I could just mention one team there, I'd mention Newcestown. What a club that is, to be able to keep going as they're going, and to actually, I know Carbery Rangers haven't had a great year, and I know they've had injury problems, and they haven't had John Hayes, and let's face it, their attack, you could nearly say, revolves around John Hayes and John O'Rourke. But Newcestown, to actually beat them by 8 points today, is a cracking result for them. Now, the reward for it is to play the Bars. That's a tough quarter final for them, but it's a good sign of them, because it's practically the same squad for hurling and for football.
Well. Absolutely, and I suppose the other point in that, Tony, they're not just doing it this year or last year, they're doing it year on year. A small population, but a tremendous club, a real example to all clubs in terms of what you can do, if your organisation is right and your culture is right, fair play to them, very well done. That was a great result for them today.
Another name that jumps out at me there, Valley Rovers, was that, being honest, lads, was that one of the teams that you had down to be at this stage of the competition?
Well, I suppose I originally, as I said to you, I would have favoured Douglas and Nemo before today, but obviously the Valleys were always in a strong position coming in against Bishopstown today, even though that didn't turn out to be as easy as what it might have been. And I suppose, look, there's a lot of positives today for clubs in terms of people going on to the last 8, but look, there's a sad side to this too. Poor O'Lynn take a fair hiding from Castlehaven and probably in relegation trouble. Bishopstown, in fairness to them, put in a big rally there today in terms of putting in a good performance, having lost 2 games previously. Carrigaline now look to be in trouble in terms of relegation, despite the fact that they were quite competitive again today. So it's there's one very happy dressing room, and then there's a lot of disappointed dressing rooms.
I'm just thinking here, Cullum, as well, looking down on the Douglas management on the field. How frustrated will they be, and the players be, with their performance against Valley Rovers? Because when the draw was made for this group, I saw that Douglas were playing Bishopstown first and they were playing Nemo Rangers third. And if you got your first win against Bishopstown, your entire county championship came down to playing Valley Rovers out in Ovens. Yeah. And I have to say, the whole tone of that performance, in terms of, Derek, if they defended a third as well against Valley Rovers as they did today, they mightn't have been in the predicament they were in today. So you can look at that today and say, okay, they're a bit off it. We didn't need to come here today to know that Douglas are a bit off Nemo Rangers, but I think the one that they really should be looking at themselves on is the Valley Rovers game, where they lost and they were dreadfully poor.
That's probably that's probably why the competition now is fair. You get an off day, but if you do get that off day at the office, you've got to follow it up with a big game. And as you say, they had the off day against Valley, so the price they paid then is they had to have a better than normal day against Nemo today, but that didn't happen. But that's the cut and thrust of I suppose of a football championship, and if you don't put the teams away, you're going to pay the price. And I'd say Douglas probably are. I won't say they probably feel hard done by, but definitely they can there's merit in them feeling disappointed, because they gave a good account of themselves today. It was a good, strong effort, but I won't go back over it again. It's the lack of scoring to it, but it was a good, honest effort that they did give today, you know.
And the Valleys have been fairly consistent in the championship, you know, and that day I wasn't at that game, but like the scoreline itself was 3-5 to 114, like you were 15 scores to 8, Tony, like you were again surviving on crumbs.
And two of the Douglas goals came in injury time, Conor.
Yeah,
that'll tell you.
So, like, you know, something went radically wrong that day by the looks of it.
In terms of the football championship, you know, we've been talking about the great games in the hurling. Has it been a good football championship?
Yeah, I think it's been very good, very competitive, like in the sense of, you know, it's very even. Have we any great team, you know, to compare with Nemo of 10 years ago? No, you know, our standard is a bit down overall, I would think, but it's competitive, and like out of that competitiveness, I think over the next number of years, you know, we'll get better as a result. You know, for too long we were playing a championship where teams were being beaten, you know, cricket scores and that. Most of the games now have been relatively tight throughout, and you know, this is the first year of this. I believe it can only go from strength to strength.
I'd like to see it get a bit more intense. I know the league structure brings that league mentality. It's not do or die. I think there was a lot, just looking at today's game, there was a lot of it was kind of pedestrian at best, and where like Nemo were making a few sloppy mistakes there. If in a championship game you're making a mistake, it has to be almost game over, you know, and that's what you want as a spectator. You want that intensity where all mistakes are punished. You shouldn't get a second, third and fourth chance. Nemo had that today, and what you want from a competition, what you want from any game, is that if you mess up, you might get another chance in the game, but if you're making 2 and 3 bad mistakes and you're not taking your chances, you deserve to be punished. I think that's a trait in the championship over the last couple of years. It's just not that cut and trust, and I think by and large it's the lack of scoring power around the clubs, because if you're giving away free, for example, unnecessary, you deserve to be punished, but Nemo didn't get punished today, so Nemo are going to carry that kind of habit into the next game. My hope is that, you know, you've got your top 8, Castlehaven, Duhallow, Nemo, Ballincollig, Bars, Newcestown Valley, Duhallow. I'm not sure that you're going to get that absolute white heat championship game in that last 8, but
semi-finals, I think.
Semi-finals, maybe then you're coming down to serious teams being left. I would have loved to have seen it today, but as I say, you just didn't see it today. Nemo got off with playing maybe in third gear.
Let's call a spade a spade. There's not 12 top Premier senior teams in Cork, Conor, at the moment, and we're probably going to have to wait. I don't know how the pairings will work out for the semi-finals, but realistically you're going to have to wait for the last 4, and then you will probably have a Nemo, you may have a Bars. I wouldn't necessarily take that Ballincollig out of the equation either, by the way, and you'll have Duhallow maybe at that stage, you know, and you know, then you've Castlehaven, who have come on about 10 or 15%. You know, Castlehaven went through a small bit of a dip in the last couple of years. Now they're coming again. So I think realistically, and I think everybody in Cork football probably recognises that at the moment, you don't have 12 top teams, but this is the first year of this, and you'd be hoping, you know, this man here in front of me is one of the guys piloting the future of Cork football. You'd be hoping that over the next kind of 2-3 years that you would see a little bit of a rising tide lifting the boats of Cork football.
You would, yeah. And look, I don't want to be too critical, because look, I looked at the Tyrone semi-final last night in the division. Cracking game. We were sitting on the edges of our feet till they finished. Like, but the quality of finishing that was very disappointing as well. Like, so sometimes we're very, very critical of our own, and you know, countrywide, how good is the club standard? Now, notwithstanding that we have failed to make progress in Munster, with the exception of Nemo there in years, you know, that's a bit of an issue for us. But you know, countrywide, club football, are there good scoring forwards? Yeah,
again, Derek made that point about scoring forwards, and you were nodding there. How do you settle that? How do you assess that? How do you solve that problem?
Well, like, I suppose, you know, to me it's fairly basic. You're out in the field as an inter-county forward, and look, we're looking down in the D there, lads, and if you can't kick the ball over the bar from there, you have no business playing inter-county football. And it's kind of saying, look, I can make it, and I can make it for the next one. At that level, like, there's no excuse. Like, I mean, you could probably bring, you know, young lads in there and they'd kick it. No, obviously there's a bit of pressure at inter-county, but at the same time, like, that's bread and butter. Like, you have to do it, like.
Yeah, just one other point there. While you've been talking, again, as you know, my mathematical brain works pretty slowly, and I'm just wondering about who's relegated or who is in the relegation final. And I'm looking at the maths here. Obviously, Island Rovers are in a relegation final, but by my mathematics, Conor, Bishopstown and Carrigaline have actually conceded the exact same. Their point difference is minus 23. And I believe that Carrigaline, and I don't have the tables in front of me, but I think Carrigaline have scored more than Bishopstown. So the indication from me is that it's an Island Rovers Bishopstown relegation playoff game, just on the basis that Carrigaline have scored more, because both Carrigaline and Bishopstown finished minus 23. Bishopstown were only beaten by a point today. So I think it's either Island Rovers or Bishopstown who will drop down to the senior A grade.
Okay, we'll see if we can get an update on that. I just want to go back to Conor's point there about scoring forwards and everything like that. From the outside looking in at teams now, Conor, and you know, I think it's the sad fact you can start off at under 8 trying to ape the Dublin Jim Gavin model, etc. Are we too caught up in systems and formats and everything like that, and about keeping possession as opposed to teaching young lads how to get the ball over or under the bar?
I just think, you know, putting the ball over the bar, both feet, like, you know, being able to place kick a ball. Like you look at Dublin and you look at Rock, you know, that's the prime example to me. I mean, they were saying for a long time he's only doing it from frees. He's well capable of kicking scores from play. And like, you know, in the normal game now, I'd say 65% of your scores can come from frees. Like, so you've got to have a reliable free taker there. You can struggle throughout the field and in games, but if you have a free taker and you're getting your frees and you're getting them over the bar, you're always there with a fighting chance. And if you can knock a few over from play, then, you know, you're more than likely to be in the mix. But, you know, that's not happening to the level it should be happening. And that's not just a Cork problem, that's a countrywide problem.
I think the structure, like, I know we don't want to talk about structures because we want to talk about the raw forward. How do you create that forward? I just do think the structure that's here, the amount of games now that teams are going to play, it will increase the standard. I don't know, to answer your question, how do you create these forwards? I just think organically that will probably be a byproduct of this competition, of it rising the tide, as we say, about more games, more training, more condensed season. That will just improve the standard, and I think as a byproduct you will just get better players. But that'll take 3, 4, 5 years to develop, you know. So
I don't think it's just, with respect to Eric, I think it's a little more than that. I mean, I do think Colm, and this is something which I, you know, is a big hobby horse of mine. I do think there's a culture element here. I mean, it's you know, you think that Nemo just happened by a coincidence to keep churning out quality forwards. You know, I do think certainly, and myself and this man will be at one page on this one. I do feel like that from a younger age, a player needs to be taught to kick the ball an awful lot earlier, to kick it off both feet an awful lot earlier, to actually get his or her technique right an awful lot earlier. You know, and there's a certain natural element to it. But, you know, for instance, even this morning, you know, I was involved in a Douglas versus Nemo under 15 game, and while Douglas might have won the game, I would say percentage-wise and the attacks, I'd say Nemo were converting more of their attempts than Douglas were. You know, so I do think that there's a culture element as well. I think you need to start them young, and you actually need to keep working.
Okay, I think that's going to be a programme that we're going to devote an hour or two or an afternoon or two to. I'm just getting the nod here that we're going to have to wrap up, because we have that other game here this afternoon on our Irish Examiner live stream service. That's down in Inniskeen with Oisin and Larry, and that's the O'Donovan Ross St. Michael's game. All that remains for me is to thank Derek Kavanagh, Conor Coonahan, and the mathematician extraordinaire Tony Lean behind us. The final score here as seeing Nemo victorious 1-15 to 110 over Douglas. That ends the Douglas journey in the 2020 Football Championship. But as we mentioned, the teams through: Castlehaven, Nemo, the Bars, Newcestown, Ballincollig, Valley Rovers and Duhallow. Thank you so much for your company this afternoon on our live stream service, and indeed thank you for all your warm wishes and regards over the last number of weeks. One more game for us this afternoon. That's getting underway in about 15 minutes time. Thanks to Raf and Jack here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and thanks to the team back at base. That's where we're going to wrap up. Hopefully you'll enjoy the next game, and we're back next weekend with Championship Hurling and Ladies Football on the Irish Examiner live stream service. So from all of us here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon.